The lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding. This is a truth that has echoed through silent corridors of time, whispered in temples long turned to dust, and inscribed upon tablets hidden from the uninitiated. It is a key, and today that key is presented to you, not as a gift, but as a recognition of a readiness that has stirred deep within your soul. You are here because you are ready to hear. You are ready to understand. The knowledge that follows is not a new invention. It is not a modern philosophy designed for a fleeting age. It is the ancient, timeless science of reality itself. These are the sacred laws upon which the cosmos is built, the unseen architecture holding together every star, every sun, every atom, and every thought. They are not laws that exist outside of you, waiting to be learned and applied. They are already at work within you. They are the rhythm in your breath, the pulse in your blood, the silent witness behind your eyes. Your life, up to this very moment, has been a perfect expression of these principles, whether you have been aware of it or not. So I ask you, what if the feeling of being lost, the chaos you sometimes feel churning inside and outside of you, is not random? What if it is merely a harmony you have not yet learned to perceive, a cosmic dance whose steps you do not yet know? What if the key to mastering your life, to calming the storm and finding your true power, does not lie in struggling against the world, but in understanding the immutable laws that govern both the world and your own being? This journey we are about to embark upon is not an escape. It is a profound turning inward. It is an initiation into the mechanics of your own consciousness and the consciousness of the All. We will not be leaving reality behind. We will be diving deeper into it than ever before, decoding its secret language, so that you may finally begin a conscious conversation with the universe. Let the world outside fade away. Let the noise of your day fall silent. A doorway is opening. Step through. The ears of your understanding are ready to listen. Underlying all things, beneath the surface of reality, is a truth so profound and so simple that it has been hidden in plain sight for all of human history. It is the first key, the master key that unlocks all other doors of understanding. The principle is this: the all is mind, the universe is mental. Take a moment to let those words settle. Do not rush past them. Let them land in the quiet center of your being. The universe is mental. This is not to say that the universe has a mind, as a man has a mind. It is to say that the universe, in its totality, is mind itself, a living, infinite, and conscious mind. Look out upon the world you know. We are taught to see it as a collection of things. We see planets and stars, rocks and trees, bodies and bones. We perceive a universe of matter, governed by physical laws, floating in the vast, cold emptiness of space. We feel solid ground beneath our feet, and we believe in its absolute reality. This perception, this story of a dead, mechanical universe, is the source of a deep and pervasive sense of alienation, of separation. It makes us feel small, accidental, a brief flicker of consciousness in an unfeeling cosmos. The ancient wisdom offers a different vision. It asks you to see beyond the appearance of things. That rock in your hand, that ancient star burning billions of light years away, your very own body breathing in this moment, are not fundamentally solid matter. They are ideas. They are thoughts held in a single, boundless intelligence, the All. What is the All? It is the substantive reality, the underlying truth. It is all that has been, and all that ever will be. Nothing can exist outside of the All, for if it did, the All would not be the All. It is, by its very nature, infinite. It has no beginning and no end, for there is nothing to begin or end it. It is eternal. It is absolute. No law can bind it, for it is the source of all law. No power can overcome it, for it is the source of all power. Now, here is the critical step in this great realization. If you exist, and you surely do, then you must exist within the All. You cannot be separate from it. And if the All is infinite, living mind, then your existence, my existence, all existence, must be of a mental nature. We live and move and have our being within the mind of the All. We are, in essence, thoughts. Consider the metaphor of a boundless ocean of consciousness. This ocean is the all. It is serene in some places, turbulent in others, deep and mysterious throughout. Every form you see in the universe, from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy, is like a wave forming on the surface of this ocean. You, in your current identity, are one such wave. You have a unique shape, a specific duration, a direction. You experience yourself as an individual wave, separate from the others. You may crash upon the shore or be pulled by a current, and you believe this story of the wave is your entire reality. But what is the wave made of? Is it not made entirely of the ocean? Can you find a single drop within the wave that is not the ocean itself? The wave's form is temporary, but its substance, the water, is eternal and one. You are not just the wave, you are the ocean. The experience of being a separate, isolated person is an illusion born of focusing only on the temporary form, while forgetting the eternal substance of your being. The loneliness, the fear of annihilation, the sense of being a stranger in the universe, all of it stems from this one great act of forgetting. You have forgotten that you are made of the very mind of the cosmos. Perhaps this seems too abstract. The world feels so real, so solid, so unyielding. How can it be a thought? Let us use an analogy you know well. Consider a dream. When you are in a vivid dream, it is your total reality. You feel fear, you feel joy. You can touch walls, taste food, feel the ground beneath your feet. The logic of the dream is absolute while you are in it. Yet, upon waking, you realize with absolute certainty that the entire world of that dream, its landscapes, its people, its events, was a creation within your own mind. It had no external reality. It was a mental construction. The Hermetic teaching is not that the universe is your dream. It is that the universe is a dream, or more accurately, a continuous mental creation of the all. It is a divine meditation. Unlike your fleeting nightly dreams, this universal creation is steady, consistent, and governed by immense, unwavering laws, which is why it appears so solid and real to the parts of the whole. To us, we are thoughts within a divine thought, characters in a cosmic story, yes, but characters who share the very consciousness of the author. This understanding changes everything. It reframes our place in existence. We are no longer accidents of biology on a lonely rock. We are integral, necessary, and beloved expressions of the one universal intelligence. The divine mind is not some distant external deity watching from a throne. It is the very medium in which we exist. It is the silent, living, breathing field in which galaxies swirl like motes of dust in a sunbeam, and in which your own consciousness sparks into being. There is no separation. There can be no separation. When you feel pain, that vibration is felt within the mind of the all. When you feel joy, that frequency illuminates a part of the one mind. This is the antidote to existential dread. You are not alone because you cannot be alone. You are as connected to the whole of life as a thought is connected to the mind that thinks it. You are as inseparable from your source as a sunbeam is from the sun. The substance of your being is pure consciousness. Your essence is mind stuff. Let this sink in. Feel the truth of it, not just as an intellectual concept, but as a felt reality. Feel how it dissolves the walls of separation. The person you see on the street, the tree outside your window, the air you are breathing, are all part of the same mental tapestry. Different forms, different vibrations, but all woven from the same thread of divine thought. This is the foundation of true compassion, not as a moral duty, but as a simple recognition of fact. To harm another is to harm a different aspect of yourself. To love another is to love the God within. This is the first great law. It is the foundation upon which all the other principles rest. Before we can understand how the inner and outer worlds correspond, how everything vibrates, how opposites are the same, we must first accept the fundamental nature of the stage on which this all plays out. The stage is mind, the play is mental, the actors are thoughts. Now, as you sit with this immense idea that the universe is a living, thinking field of infinite potential, and that you are an indivisible part of it, a new question naturally arises. If we are thoughts within this grand cosmic mind, what does that mean for the small personal mind we experience every day? What is the nature of your own consciousness, that inner world of thoughts, feelings, and beliefs? If the great ocean is mind, then what is the drop? Is it merely a passive reflection of the whole, or does it too carry the creative fire of its source? It is time now to turn our gaze from the macrocosm to the microcosm, from the all to the universe that exists within you. Having accepted the vast foundational truth that the all is mind, we now turn our focus inward. We bring our gaze from the sprawling cosmos to the intimate universe that exists behind your own eyes. If the entirety of creation is a boundless mental ocean, what then is the drop of consciousness that you call I? The answer is both simple and staggering. Your mind is a perfect microcosm of the universal mind. It is not a lesser substance. It is not a flawed copy. It is a holographic fragment of the all, containing within it the same essential nature, the same creative potential as the whole. The power that imagines galaxies into being is the same power that is dreaming through you right now. This is a radical departure from how we are taught to view ourselves. We are told the mind is a product of the brain, a complex biological computer that processes data from the outside world. We see it as a tool for analysis, for memory, for reaction. We experience it as a passive observer, a witness to a life that largely happens to us. At its worst, we feel it is a relentless commentator, a source of endless chatter, anxiety, and doubt, a machine we cannot seem to control or turn off. The Hermetic tradition invites you to discard this disempowering model. Your mind is not a passive mirror reflecting the world. It is an active projector, casting its inner reality onto the screen of your experience. It is not a machine, it is a garden. Imagine this. Your consciousness, specifically your deep subconscious mind, is a plot of the most fertile soil imaginable. This soil is pure potential. It is utterly impartial, utterly without judgment. It possesses one singular, unwavering purpose: to grow whatever is planted in it. It does not question the seed. It does not care if the seed is for a beautiful rose or a poisonous nightshade. Its nature is to nurture, to magnify, to bring forth into form whatever it is given. This soil is the womb of your reality. The seeds, then, are your thoughts. Every thought you hold is a seed, containing the blueprint for a future reality. And here we must be precise. A fleeting, passing thought is like a seed dropped on barren rock. It has little power. But a thought that you hold, that you return to, that you focus upon, that is a seed you have deliberately chosen to plant in the fertile soil of your subconscious. But a seed, even in the richest soil, needs more to grow. It needs water and it needs sunlight. The water and the sun of your inner world are your emotions and your attention. A thought, a desire, a goal that is not energized with emotion is like a dry seed. It lies dormant. But when you water that thought with the powerful life-giving energy of feeling of love, of faith, of conviction, of deep desire, you initiate the process of germination. The thought begins to swell, to sprout roots in the unseen world. Your attention is the sunlight. Where you focus your conscious awareness, energy flows. By consistently bringing your attention back to your desired thought, you are giving it the light it needs to push through the soil and into the world of form. Now, look honestly at the landscape of your life. What is growing in your garden? For many, the garden is a tangled mess. It is overgrown with the weeds of anxiety, the thorny bushes of past resentments, the choking vines of self-doubt, and the persistent dandelions of worry. And they look upon this chaotic scene and believe it is simply their lot in life. They do not remember ever planting these things, and in a way they are right. They did not plant them consciously. These are the seeds that have been carried on the winds of the world, the winds of societal conditioning, of childhood programming, of fearful news reports, of the casual negativity of others. Because they were never taught that they were the gardener, they simply left the gates open and allowed anything and everything to take root. The inner noise they experience, the feeling of a mind that will not be quiet, is the sound of these countless weeds rustling in the wind, each one competing for light and water. The first step to mastery is to accept your role as the master gardener. This is not about blame. It is crucial to understand this. You are not to blame for the seeds that were planted in your garden when you were a child, when you were unaware and impressionable. You are not to blame for the storms of trauma that may have scattered undesirable seeds across your soil. Blame is a useless and heavy burden. The path forward is not blame, but responsibility. And responsibility, in its truest sense, means the ability to respond. From this moment forward, you have the ability to choose which plants you will water. You have the ability to choose which new seeds you will plant. You do not reclaim your garden by waging a violent war on the weeds. To fight a weed, to give it all of your angry, frustrated attention, is to water it with powerful emotion, and so it grows stronger. The way of the wise gardener is different. You begin, with quiet determination, to plant what you do want to grow. In the corner of the garden, choked with the weeds of fear, you begin to plant the seeds of courage. You visualize yourself acting with courage. You feel the feeling of confidence in your body. You water that seed every single day. In the patch of dry, cracked earth left by old resentments, you plant the seeds of forgiveness, not for the other person necessarily, but for yourself, to reclaim the energy bound up in that barren soil. You water it with the feeling of peace, the feeling of release. Your primary tool in this work is your imagination. We have been taught to dismiss imagination as childish daydreaming, as something separate from real life. This is a profound error. Your imagination is the most powerful creative faculty you possess. It is the drafting table of the divine mind. It is the studio where you create the blueprint for the seed, what you can vividly imagine, and then charge with the emotion of it being real. You are planting in the only creative medium that exists. The universal mind does not distinguish between a vividly imagined reality and what you call physical reality. It responds to the vibration of the thought, to the feeling. Therefore, the conscious use of your imagination is not an escape from reality. It is the very act of creating your future reality. Consider the beliefs that structure your life. Beliefs are the old, mighty trees in your garden. They have deep, extensive root systems. A belief like, "I am not worthy of love or money," is hard to come by, is not a simple weed. It is an ancient oak that casts a long shadow, preventing new things from growing in its shade. Many of these trees were not even planted by you. They were there when you arrived. But as the master gardener, you have the right to inspect every tree. Does it bear good fruit? Does its shade provide comfort, or does it create a cold, dark patch where nothing can thrive? You have the power to decide that an old tree no longer serves the garden. Removing it is not a matter of a single act of will. It requires you to stop watering it, to stop giving it the sunlight of your attention, and it requires you to plant a new, more desirable tree nearby and give that all of your devotion. Over time, as the new tree grows strong, the old one withers. This is the power vested in you. You are a universe in miniature. You contain a creative center, an inner garden where the seeds of thought are nurtured into the harvest of experience. Your life is a reflection of this inner cultivation. What you are experiencing on the outside is the fruit and the flower of the seeds you have been planting and watering on the inside. This is the law. It is impersonal, it is exact, it is unerring. You are not powerless. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a creator of circumstance, whether you have been doing so consciously or unconsciously. The invitation now is to become a conscious creator, to take up your tools, to walk through the gates of your own mind, and to begin the sacred work of cultivation, to choose your thoughts with the care of a gardener, selecting their most precious seeds, to charge them with feeling, with faith, with the water of life itself. But how precisely do we do this? How do we take a state of fear and transform it into a state of courage? How do we change the very quality of our thoughts from a low, heavy vibration to a high, light one? This is not a matter of luck or personality. It is a matter of skill. It is the divine science of inner alchemy. It is the art of mental transmutation. We have established a profound foundation. The universe is mind, a single infinite intelligence. And your own mind is a microcosm of this all, a sacred garden with the innate power to create. You stand now at the gate of this garden, having accepted your role as its cultivator. You understand that your thoughts are seeds, and your emotions are the living water that nourishes them into reality. This awareness is the first great awakening, but it brings with it a most urgent and practical question. What now? How does one consciously cultivate this garden? How do you command the seeds of your choosing to grow, especially when the winds of the world have already sown so many weeds of fear and doubt? The answer lies in mastering the oldest and most noble of all sciences, the art of mental transmutation. This is the practice of changing your own mental states, of transforming one thought into another, one emotion into another. This is true alchemy. The sages of old who spoke of turning lead into gold were not speaking merely of metals. They were speaking of the base, heavy, leaden states of human consciousness, fear, grief, hatred, despair, and the divine art of transmuting them into the shining, radiant gold of courage, peace, love, and wisdom. This power is your birthright. First, let us be clear about what mental transmutation is not. It is not denial. It is not suppression. It is not the fragile practice of positive thinking that involves pasting a smile over a heart full of sorrow. To attempt to ignore or violently push away a negative emotion is a fool's errand. It is like trying to hold a buoyant ball underwater. It takes a tremendous, exhausting amount of energy, and the moment your concentration wavers, the ball erupts to the surface with even greater force than before. How many times have you tried to just not think about something, only to find it consuming your every thought? The negative state, when fought against, feeds on the very energy of your resistance. It thrives on your struggle. The true alchemist does not fight the lead. They understand its properties, its weight, its nature. They do not try to pretend the lead is not there. They simply apply a higher law, a different process, to change its very vibration until it becomes something else entirely. The art is in transformation, not annihilation. To understand this, let us use our metaphor of the musician. Your consciousness is a grand instrument, perhaps a piano with a vast keyboard. This keyboard contains all the possible notes of human experience. At the far left are the low, heavy bass notes: fear, sadness, anger, despair. At the far right are the high, light, ethereal notes: joy, bliss, unconditional love, enlightenment. In the middle are the vast ranges of everyday experience: contentment, frustration, curiosity, boredom. A master musician would never dream of taking a hammer and smashing the lower keys of their instrument. They know that these low notes are not bad. They are essential. They provide depth, contrast, power, and richness to the music. A symphony without bass notes would be thin, shallow, and unsatisfying. In the same way, a human life devoid of the capacity for sadness or anger would be a life without depth, without the capacity for true compassion or the fire for meaningful change. These states are part of the divine instrument you have been given. The art, therefore, is not in breaking the keys, but in choosing which notes to play. You are the musician. Most people live their lives unconsciously, allowing their fingers to be guided by external events, by memory, by conditioned reactions. A criticism from another person triggers the low note of shame. A news report triggers the rumbling chord of anxiety. Their life's music becomes a chaotic, reactive, and often dissonant tune. They believe they have no choice in the matter. Mental transmutation is the act of consciously lifting your hands from the keys they have been trained to play and deliberately choosing a different melody. It begins with the profound understanding that underlies the principle of polarity. Everything is dual, and opposites are merely two poles of the same thing. You cannot turn lead into wheat, but you can turn lead into gold. They are both metals. In the same way, you cannot easily turn fear into joy, but you can transmute fear into its direct opposite, courage. They are two poles on the single spectrum of self-preservation and empowerment. You cannot turn hatred into apathy, but you can transmute it into its polar opposite, love. They are two poles on the single spectrum of connection. This is the secret. You do not leap across the keyboard from the lowest note to the highest. You simply slide your attention along a single continuum, The process is one of willful, focused attention. It is an art that requires practice, but its steps are clear. First is the step of acknowledgement. When a low, heavy state arises, a wave of fear, a pang of jealousy, a cloud of melancholy, do not resist it. Do not condemn yourself for it. Simply observe its presence. Turn your inner gaze toward it and say, I see you, I acknowledge your presence. In this simple act, you cease to be the state. You become the witness of the state. You create a space between you, the musician, and the note that is being played. This act alone lessens its power, as you are no longer feeding it with the energy of struggle. Second is the step of polarization. Having acknowledged the low state, you consciously identify its opposite pole. You ask yourself, what is the other end of this spectrum? If the feeling is despair, the other end is hope. If the feeling is scarcity, the other end is abundance. If the feeling is confusion, the other end is clarity. Be precise. You are identifying the note you wish to play. Third, and this is the core of the alchemical process, is the step of transmutation through focused imagination. The will is the director of the mind. You must willfully withdraw your attention from the undesirable pole and place it firmly upon the desirable one. This is not just wishful thinking. This is an act of inhabitation. You begin to evoke the feeling of the higher state. You use your divine imagination to construct it. If you seek to transmute fear into courage, you close your eyes and ask, what does courage feel like? You remember a time you were brave. You stand up straighter. You change your physical posture to one of command. You breathe deeply and slowly, as a courageous person would. You imagine a scene where you are acting with perfect courage. You do not just think about courage. You generate the feeling, the vibration of courage within your own body and mind, right here and now. You hold your attention on this new state. At first, it may feel forced, like an actor playing a part. But you persist. The mind has momentum. If you have been playing the song of anxiety for 10 years, you cannot expect to compose a symphony of peace in 10 seconds. The old vibrations will try to pull your attention back. This is normal. This is where the gentle, persistent practice of the artist is required. Each time you notice your attention has slipped back to the lower pole, you do not judge. You simply, calmly, and firmly guide it back to the higher pole. You return to the feeling of peace. You return to the posture of abundance. You return to the vibration of love. Each time you do this, you are weakening the old neural pathway and strengthening the new one. You are, quite literally, rewiring your brain and reshaping your energetic field. You are reclaiming your garden, one conscious choice at a time. This is the work. It is the great and glorious work of self-mastery. It is turning the lead of your automatic, conditioned reactions into the pure gold of conscious, chosen responses. It is the difference between being a slave to your moods and the master of your inner states. Every moment presents a new opportunity to practice this art. In traffic, you can transmute irritation into patience. When faced with a challenge, you can transmute overwhelm into focused clarity. When grieving a loss, you can allow the sadness, but choose to focus on the pole of gratitude for what was, rather than the pole of despair for what is gone. This inner alchemy, this mastery over your own mental vibrations, is the key to inner peace. But its effects are not confined to your inner world. For if the universe is mind, and your mind is part of that great mind, then a definite and powerful change in your personal vibration must, by law, create a corresponding change in the world outside of you. When you change the music you are playing, the dancers in your reality must eventually learn the new steps. This inner transmutation is the engine of external creation. As you change your state changes your world. And this leads us to the next great Hermetic law, the profound mirror that exists between the worlds, the principle of correspondence. We come now to a principle so vast, so all-encompassing, that it serves as a bridge between the unseen and the seen, the spiritual and the material, the infinite and the personal. It is an axiom that has been uttered by initiates for millennia, a single phrase that unlocks the relationship between all planes of existence. The Hermetic axiom states, as above, so below, as below, so above. This elegant truth is the master key to understanding your place in the cosmos, and more importantly, the power you hold to shape your own reality. This principle is only possible because of the truth we have already established, that the all is mind. Because all of creation is part of one single unified consciousness, the patterns of that consciousness must repeat themselves on every level. There is a perfect harmony, a flawless correspondence between the laws of the highest spiritual planes and the laws of the lowest physical planes. The universe is holographic. Every fragment contains the pattern of the whole. Look to the world around you, and you will see this principle etched into the very fabric of nature. The atom, with its electrons orbiting a central nucleus, is a miniature solar system. A solar system, with its planets orbiting a central star, is a cosmic atom. The spiral of a mighty galaxy, flinging stars across millions of light years, follows the same mathematical law as the delicate spiral of a nautilus shell, the swirl of water down a drain, or the whirl of your own fingerprint. The branching network of a river delta, as it finds its way to the sea, mimics the branching of a lightning bolt across the sky, which mimics the branching of a tree's limbs reaching for the sun, which in turn mimics the delicate branching of the veins in a leaf and the bronchi within your own lungs. As above, so below. The universe is not a collection of random, disconnected events. It is a symphony, and the same beautiful, intelligent theme repeats itself in every movement, with different instruments and on different scales. To understand one part is to gain insight into all others. The mystic who understands the laws of their own inner world can look to the stars and understand the cosmos. The astronomer who understands the laws of celestial mechanics can look within and understand the orbits of their own thoughts and emotions. This is a profound and beautiful truth. But for our purpose, for our journey of self-mastery, we must turn to the most personal, the most powerful, and often the most confronting application of this law. We must bring it down from the heavens and into our own lives. For the axiom has a vital corollary: as within, so without. Let this phrase penetrate your mind: as within, so without. This means that your outer world, the world you experience with your senses, your relationships, your health, your financial conditions, the events and circumstances of your daily life, is a direct, flawless reflection of your inner world. Your reality is a mirror. It is a physical printout of your dominant states of consciousness, your deepest beliefs, and your most habitual feelings. This is perhaps the most difficult principle for the uninitiated mind to accept, because it demands a radical shift in responsibility. We are conditioned to see life as something that happens to us. We believe we are at the mercy of external forces, the economy, the actions of others, luck, fate. We see ourselves as the effect and the world as the cause. The principle of correspondence flips this entire paradigm on its head. It reveals that you are the cause and your world is the effect. The source of your joy, your sorrow, your success, your struggle is not outside of you. It is within. To grasp this fully, let us use the metaphor of a great tree. Your life is this tree. The part of the tree that is visible above the ground, the trunk, the branches, the leaves, the fruit is your outer world. It is your job, your bank account, your physical health, your personal relationships. This is the part of life that everyone sees, and the part that everyone spends their time trying to fix. If the leaves are yellowing, they might apply a spray. If a branch is withered, they might saw it off. If the fruit is bitter, they complain about the quality of the harvest. But the wise gardener knows a deeper truth. The health of the visible tree is determined entirely by the part that is unseen, the roots hidden deep within the earth. These roots are your inner world. They are your core beliefs about yourself and about life. They are your habitual emotional states. They are your self-concept, your sense of worthiness, your subconscious assumptions, your ingrained patterns of thought. The roots are the cause, the branches are the effect. The state of the leaves and the quality of the fruit are nothing more than a perfect, infallible report on the condition of the roots. If you desire more abundant fruit in your life, it is useless to tie apples onto the branches of a sick tree. You must heal the roots. If you find that the branches of your relationships are consistently weak and brittle, continually attracting people who betray or abandon you, you must stop blaming the branches. You must have the courage to dig into the soil of your own consciousness and examine the roots. You will inevitably find a root belief such as I am not worthy of love, or people always leave, or I must please others to be accepted. Your outer world is not punishing you. It is simply being a perfect mirror, showing you the belief system you are nourishing at the root level. If you experience the fruit of financial lack, a constant state of not enough, it is not because the world is withholding. It is because at the root level, there is a consciousness of scarcity, a belief that resources are limited, that you are not capable, or that wanting more is somehow greedy or wrong. As long as that root remains, you could win the lottery and you would find a way to return to a state of lack, because that is the blueprint held in your inner world. The universe, in its perfect correspondence, must always reflect your deepest convictions back to you. As within, so without. This law is as impersonal and as reliable as the law of gravity. The universe does not judge you. The mirror does not have an opinion about the face it is reflecting. It simply shows you what is there. So many people spend their lives yelling at the mirror. They plead with it, they get angry at it, they try to negotiate with it, desperate for it to show them a smiling, happy face. But all the while, their own face is contorted in a scowl of frustration and unhappiness. The work is never, ever on the mirror. The work is always on the face being reflected. This realization is the end of blame. It is the end of victimhood. It is the beginning of true power. When you fully accept this principle, you stop seeing life's challenges as cruel twists of fate. You begin to see them as a sophisticated feedback system, a divine biofeedback mechanism. Every frustration, every recurring negative pattern, every person who pushes your buttons ceases to be an enemy. They become a messenger. They become a gift. They are an arrow pointing directly to a part of your own consciousness, a hidden root that is out of harmony and is ready to be healed. The world is not happening to you. The world is happening through you and reflecting back to you. So, when you feel a sense of unease, of dissatisfaction with any area of your life, you now know where to look. Do not look outside. Do not blame the government. Do not blame your spouse. Do not blame your past. These are just the actors on your stage. You are the writer and director. You must have the courage to pause, to go within, and to ask the great question, what is the root within me that is producing this fruit in my world? What is the inner state that is being reflected by this outer circumstance? Understanding this law, this perfect correspondence, is like being handed a map and a compass in the middle of a dense forest. Before, you were lost. Now, you can navigate. Your outer world is the map of your inner world, but a map is useless if you do not know how to read it. How then do we learn to interpret the reflections in the mirror? How do we decode the messages that our life is constantly sending us? This is the next step in our journey. Learning to read the mirror of reality, not with fear or judgment, but with the calm, discerning eye of a master diagnostician seeking the root cause of it all. You now stand in possession of a profound secret. Your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. As within, so without. This is not a metaphor. It is a fundamental law of existence. But to possess a mirror and to know how to use it are two different things. A mirror is a tool of pure, unbiased feedback. It can be a source of frustration and self-criticism, or it can be the most powerful instrument for self-awareness and conscious evolution ever devised. The choice lies entirely in how you learn to read its reflections. This is the art of reading the mirror of reality. It is the practice of looking at the events, people, and circumstances of your life, not as random occurrences, but as a perfectly curated stream of information, a symbolic language that is constantly speaking to you about the state of your own consciousness. To learn this language is to move from being a passive victim of fate to an active interpreter of your own soul's journey. Let us refine our analogy. Your reality is not just a simple flat mirror. For most of us, it is more like a funhouse mirror. A funhouse mirror has curves, warps, and distortions built into its very surface. When you stand before it, your reflection is stretched, compressed, or twisted. You do not get angry at the mirror or believe that your body has suddenly become grotesquely misshapen. You understand instantly that the distorted reflection is a product of the mirror's unique shape. You use the reflection to understand the contours of the mirror itself. Your consciousness is this mirror. The warps and curves are your deep-seated beliefs, your unhealed traumas, your cultural conditioning, and your core assumptions about life. These contours are often invisible to you, as they have been there for so long you assume they are simply reality. So, when your life reflects back a distorted imaginary relationship filled with conflict, a career fraught with struggle, a body experiencing dis-ease, your first instinct is to blame the reflection. You try to fix the other person, you struggle against the circumstances, you fight the condition. This is as futile as trying to straighten your reflection in the funhouse mirror by pressing on the glass. The master's path is to do the opposite. You look at the distorted reflection and ask, what curve in my own consciousness would cause reality to look this way? You use the outer experience to map your own inner topography. The reflection is not the problem, it is the diagnostic tool. The recurring frustration is not a curse, it is a compass needle pointing directly to a belief within you that is ready to be seen and integrated. This practice begins with a radical shift in the questions you ask. The disempowered mind, the one that blames the mirror, constantly asks, why is this happening to me? Why are people so difficult? When will my life finally get better? These questions presuppose that you are a helpless victim and that the power lies outside of you. They lead only to feelings of powerlessness and resentment. The conscious interpreter asks a different set of questions. When faced with a challenge, they learn to pause, breathe, and ask from a place of calm curiosity. What in me is this situation reflecting back? What would I have to believe is true about myself or about the world for this experience to be happening? This feeling of frustration or abandonment or not being seen it feels familiar. Where is the root of this feeling within me? This person who is angering me is a messenger. What is the message they are delivering about my own unhealed energy? Consider the people in your life who consistently trigger you. The critical boss, the needy family member, the unreliable friend. Our conventional response is to label them as the problem and wish they would change or go away. But in the mirrored world, these people are your greatest teachers. They are energetic masters, perfectly designed to locate and press upon your most sensitive, unhealed wounds. The irritation or anger you feel is a signal flare, illuminating a place within you that is not yet free. Instead of focusing your energy on the messenger, you must have the courage to look where they are pointing. The difficult person is simply the mirror showing you a contour in your own consciousness, a belief that says, I am not respected, or I must take care of everyone, or I cannot trust others. Thank the mirror for its clarity and begin the inner work on the belief that the reflection has revealed. Look at the recurring patterns in your life, the business that fails for the same reason, the romantic relationship that ends in the same painful way. This is not a sign of bad luck. This is the universe, which is your own greater consciousness, sending you the same lesson in a different envelope because you have yet to open it. We become so focused on the details of the new envelope, the new person's face, the new company's name, that we fail to see it contains the very same letter. The pattern is the message. To break the pattern, you must stop obsessing over the details of the latest drama and ask, what is the underlying theme here? What is the core belief or fear that keeps creating this loop? When you finally receive the message, you no longer need the messengers. The pattern dissolves. This principle also works for positive reflections. When your life begins to flow with ease, when opportunities appear as if by magic, when people treat you with kindness and respect, this too is the mirror at work. It is reflecting a change in your inner state. It is confirming that the inner gardening you have been doing is bearing fruit. The feeling of worthiness you have been cultivating is now being reflected as a tangible opportunity. The self-love you have been practicing is now reflected in the loving eyes of another. It is vital to acknowledge these reflections as well, to see them as evidence of your creative power and as encouragement to continue the inner work. This is a practice of radical honesty and profound self-compassion. At its core is the understanding of what the psychologists call projection. Very often, the traits in others that we react to most strongly, whether with admiration or with repulsion, are disowned parts of ourselves. The thing you cannot stand in another person is frequently a quality you have denied and repressed in yourself, your shadow. The quality you deeply admire in another is often your own unrealized potential. The world is a gallery, showing you portraits of your hidden self. Reading the mirror means having the courage to ask, how am I also that? Or where does that potential exist in me? So, the next time you are confronted by a challenge, try this inquiry. First, pause. Do not react. Simply breathe and create a space between the stimulus and your response. Second, acknowledge the emotion arising within you without judgment. Name it. This is anger. This is fear. Third, consciously withdraw the energy of blame. Remind yourself, this person, this event, is a reflection. It is a messenger. Fourth, ask the empowering question. What is this here to show me about myself? And finally, listen. Be still. The answer may not come in words. It may come as a feeling, a memory, a sudden insight. It is a quiet knowing that arises when you stop shouting at the mirror and simply listen to what it is trying to show you. This is how you take back your power. This is how you transform life from a series of random battles into a beautiful and intricate dance of self-discovery. You learn that nothing is against you. Everything is for you. Every event is a clue. Every person is a guide. Your entire life becomes your spiritual teacher, constantly guiding you home to a deeper understanding of yourself. But why? Why does this perfect correspondence exist? What is the invisible mechanism that ensures the outer world so precisely matches the inner? The answer is not magic. It is physics. The shape of your consciousness, the sum of your beliefs and feelings, is not just a psychological state. It is a tangible, energetic frequency. It is a vibration, and the universe, being mind, operates on the law of resonance. It can only bring to you that which matches the vibration you are emitting. This leads us, inevitably, to the next great law, the principle of vibration. We have arrived at the engine that drives the universe, the principle that makes the mirror of reality possible. We have seen that your inner world corresponds to your outer world. But why? What is the invisible mechanism that ensures this perfect, unfailing reflection? The answer is found in the third great Hermetic law, a truth so fundamental that it underpins all of modern physics, yet so ancient it was taught in the temples of old Egypt. The principle is this: nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Take a moment to truly contemplate this statement. Look around you. You may see objects that appear perfectly still, solid and silent. The chair you are sitting on, the walls of the room, the earth beneath your feet, they all present the illusion of inertia, of being static and unchanging. This illusion of solidity is the most profound sensory trick that we experience. It is the bedrock of our conventional materialist worldview, and it is completely, utterly false. The ancient masters knew, through deep intuition and inner vision, what our science has only recently confirmed with its most powerful instruments. There is no such thing as rest. There is no such thing as solid. Everything, from the hardest diamond to the most ethereal thought, is in a state of constant, perpetual motion. Everything is a dance of energy, a symphony of vibration. Let us take a mental journey into the heart of the solid object before you. In our minds, we magnify its surface, moving past the visible texture into the world of molecules. Here, we see that what appeared as a single, solid thing is actually a vast collection of molecular structures bound together but humming with thermal energy. We magnify further, diving into a single molecule, and we see the atoms that compose it. And here, the illusion of solidity begins to completely disintegrate. We see that an atom is not a tiny, solid ball. It is, in fact, almost entirely empty space. At its center is a furiously spinning nucleus, and orbiting that nucleus at unimaginable speeds are electrons, which are not so much things as they are localized clouds of probability, waves of pure energy. The feeling of solid that you experience when you touch an object is not the contact of two solid things. It is the electromagnetic repulsion between the electron fields of your hand and the electron fields of the object. It is a force field pushing against a force field. It is the resistance of two different vibrational patterns interacting. You have never truly touched anything in your entire life. Everything is vibration. The only difference between the various manifestations of matter, energy, and even spirit is their corresponding rate of vibration. To make this clear, consider the simple, profound example of water. We can observe water in three very different states. As ice, it is hard, rigid, and solid. Its molecules are locked into a crystalline structure, vibrating relatively slowly. It corresponds to the world of dense, solid matter. But if we introduce more energy in this case, heat, we increase the rate of vibration. The molecules begin to move faster and faster, breaking free from their rigid structure. The ice melts. It has not changed its essential nature. It is still H2O, but its manifestation has transformed. It is now water, fluid, adaptable, taking the shape of its container. Now, we apply even more energy. We continue to heat the water, and its vibration becomes more and more rapid, more and more intense. The molecules move with such energy that they break their bonds with each other entirely and fly apart. The water boils and becomes steam, an invisible, expansive, and powerful gas. It is still, at its core, the exact same substance, H2O. But by changing its rate of vibration, it has transcended its previous forms. It has become lighter, faster, and more ethereal. Ice, water, steam. Three vastly different appearances, three different states of being, but all are one and the same substance, differing only in their vibrational frequency. This, the Kybalion teaches, is the master key to all of creation. This principle explains the difference between all things. There exists a single unbroken spectrum of vibration, from the lowest, densest forms of matter to the highest, most refined manifestations of spirit. Imagine a vast cosmic keyboard. At the lowest end are the frequencies we perceive as solid matter, rock, metal, earth. As the frequency increases, we move up through the vibrations of liquids, then gases. Higher still, we enter the part of the spectrum we call energy infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays. We cannot see radio waves, but we know they exist because a receiver tuned to the correct frequency can translate their vibration into sound. The Hermetic masters taught that this spectrum does not end there. It continues upward into planes of vibration that our current scientific instruments cannot yet measure. These are the planes of consciousness itself. Your thoughts are vibrations. Your emotions are vibrations. Fear, grief, and despair are slow, heavy, contracting vibrations like the ice. They feel dense and restrictive. Courage, joy, and peace are fast, light, expansive vibrations like the steam. They feel freeing and powerful. And love? Unconditional love is the highest and fastest vibration of which we are capable. A frequency so high it begins to merge with the consciousness of the all itself. This understanding is the why behind the art of mental transmutation we spoke of earlier. When you transmute fear into courage, you are not creating something new. You are taking the same essential energy and consciously increasing its rate of vibration. You are the alchemist, applying the fire of your will and attention to turn the dense lead of a low emotional state into the radiant gold of a higher one. This principle has staggering implications. If everything is simply energy in a state of vibration, then it means that nothing is ever truly created or destroyed. It only changes its form, its rate, its manifestation. The alchemists called this the law of conservation of essence. When a log burns, it is not annihilated. Its vibration is simply raised to a higher state, transforming into the energy of fire, light, and rising gases. When a body dies, its form dissolves. But the energy, the consciousness that animated it, is not extinguished. It is released, its vibration changed, to continue its journey on another plane of existence. The fear of absolute annihilation is a fear born from the illusion of solidity. In a vibrational universe, there is only endless transformation. Furthermore, it means that the empty space around you is not empty at all. It is teeming and humming with countless vibrations, countless realities, existing simultaneously. Like the thousands of radio and television broadcasts passing through your room right now, there are planes of thought, worlds of beings, and streams of information vibrating at frequencies that your five senses are simply not built to perceive. Your senses are a biological filter designed to tune you into the very narrow band of vibration we call physical reality so that you can navigate it. But reality is infinitely more vast, more complex, and more populated than your senses report. Everything has its own unique vibrational signature. Every object, every place, every thought, every person emits a specific frequency or a complex chord of frequencies based on its nature and state. Your being is a symphony of vibrations. The food you eat, the words you speak, the music you listen to, the thoughts you entertain, all of it contributes to the overall frequency you broadcast into the universe. And this is where the power of this principle becomes deeply personal. Because you are not just a receiver of vibrations, you are a powerful broadcasting tower. Every moment of every day, you are sending out a signal that tells the universe who you are, what you believe, and what you feel. And the universe, being a great mental and vibrational field, responds not to your words or your wishes, but to the signal you are actually broadcasting. This leads us to the most practical and life-altering question of all. What is your personal frequency, and how is it creating the life you are now living? We have now arrived at the very heart of your creative power. We have journeyed through the understanding that the universe is mind, that your life is a mirror of your inner state, and that the mechanism connecting the two is the universal law of vibration. We have established that everything, from the densest rock to the most sublime thought, is energy and motion, differing only by its frequency. Now, we must synthesize these truths into the most personal and practical application of all. We must speak of your personal frequency. You are not merely an observer in a vibrational universe. You are an active participant, a complex resonator, a living, breathing, broadcasting tower of energy. In every moment of every day, you are sending out a signal into the great quantum field of the all. This signal, this personal frequency, is the sum total of your being. It is the complex, blended chord created by the vibration of your thoughts, your deep-seated beliefs, your words, your physical health, and most powerfully of all, your dominant emotional state. Your feelings are the carrier wave of your broadcast. They are thought and energy fused together, and they are what the universe responds to most directly. This is not a vague metaphysical concept. It is the law of resonance in action. This law states simply that like attracts like. A vibration can only attract things that are vibrating in harmony with it. Think of a tuning fork. If you strike a tuning fork tuned to the note of C, another C-tuned tuning fork nearby will begin to hum, to vibrate in sympathy, without ever being touched. However, a tuning fork tuned to the note of G will remain silent and unmoved. It is not on the same frequency. Your life operates on this exact same principle. You are the first tuning fork. Your personal frequency is the note you are constantly emitting. The people, the experiences, the opportunities, and the objects in the universe are all the other tuning forks. You will, by an infallible and impersonal law, attract and experience only those people and circumstances that resonate with your dominant frequency. You do not attract what you want. You do not even attract what you think you deserve. You attract what you are. To make this crystal clear, let us use the powerful metaphor of a radio. Imagine your consciousness is both a radio transmitter and a receiver. The frequency you are broadcasting is determined by your habitual emotional state, your inner home vibration. Let us say, for example, that through past conditioning and habit, your dominant state is one of low-grade anxiety and a feeling of scarcity. In this metaphor, you are constantly broadcasting on 98.7 Worry FM. Now, because your receiver is locked to your transmitter, you can only perceive what is being broadcast on 98.7 FM. So, your senses scan the world and pick up evidence that confirms your broadcast. You notice the bills piling up. You hear a news report about economic downturn. A friend complains about their own financial struggles. You miss an opportunity because you were too worried to act. Your entire reality becomes a seamless broadcast from Worry FM, confirming over and over that your anxiety is justified. But here is the secret. At the very same time, broadcasting with equal power and clarity are other stations. 102.5 Peace FM is on the air. 105.3 Abundance Radio is playing its song. 107.9 Joyful Connection is available to everyone. These realities, these opportunities, these people and events are not being withheld from you. They exist, right here, right now, passing through your very being. But you cannot see them, you cannot hear them, you cannot experience them. For one simple reason, you are not tuned to their frequency. Your dial is set to 98.7, and as long as it remains there, the beautiful music playing on all the other stations will be nothing but imperceptible static to you. This explains why people get stuck in self-perpetuating loops. A person broadcasting a frequency of victimhood will consistently attract people and situations that make them feel like a victim, which in turn reinforces their victim frequency. A person broadcasting a signal of resentment will find themselves in a world full of things to be resentful about. The universe is not punishing them. It is simply a flawless, energetic mirror, matching their broadcast with a corresponding reality. It cannot do otherwise. This is the true nature of the law of attraction. It is not a cosmic vending machine where you place an order with a positive thought and receive a new car. It is the law of resonance. It is about becoming a vibrational match to the reality you wish to experience. You cannot stay tuned to Worry FM and hope to hear the songs of abundance. You must have the courage to consciously and deliberately change your own station. You must become the person who is already living on that desired frequency. What then is your personal frequency right now? What station are you broadcasting? Take a moment to be a neutral observer of your own inner state. What is the background music of your mind? Is it a tune of optimism and ease? Or is it a low, dissonant hum of frustration or dread? Be honest, but do not judge. Judgment is a very low-frequency activity that will only lock you into the current station. Simply notice. Awareness is the first step toward consciously changing your broadcast. Every aspect of your life is a clue to your frequency. Look at your health. Vitality and wellness are high-frequency states. Chronic illness and fatigue are often associated with the heavy, energetic weight of low-frequency emotions like stress and grief. Look at your relationships. Are they built on trust, joy, and mutual growth? Or are they characterized by drama, dependence, and conflict? People resonate. You can only maintain a close relationship with someone who is a broad vibrational match to you. If you change your frequency, you will find that some old relationships may naturally and peacefully fall away, while new people who match your new resonance will be drawn into your life as if by magic. Look at your finances. Abundance is not about the amount of money in your bank. It is a frequency, a feeling state of trust, of flow, of worthiness, of knowing there is always enough. Scarcity is also a frequency, a feeling of tightness, of fear, of competition, of never having enough. A person can have millions of dollars and still be broadcasting on Scarcity FM, terrified of losing it all. And a person with very little can be broadcasting on Abundance FM, living in a state of gratitude and trust, and therefore constantly open to receiving more. You are the DJ of the soundtrack of your life. The song you play is your personal frequency, and the universe will dance to your tune. For too long, you have let the song be chosen by old habits, by external influences, by the collective fears of the world. You have been broadcasting a default playlist you did not consciously create. The freedom, the power, comes from realizing you can reach out and deliberately change the station. You are not a prisoner of your current frequency. You are its master. It is not your identity. It is simply your current point of energetic focus. This is not a burden. It is the ultimate liberation. It means that no matter what your life looks like right now, no matter what station you find yourself tuned to, you hold in your hands the power to change the signal. The next question is the most important one. How? How do you practically and effectively raise your personal frequency? How do you turn the dial from fear to love, from lack to abundance, from dis-ease to vitality? This is not something left to chance. There is a science to it, an art form. It is the practical application of all we have learned. It is the science of raising your vibration. We have now arrived at the very heart of your creative power. We have journeyed through the understanding that the universe is mind, that your life is a mirror of your inner state, and that the mechanism connecting the two is the universal law of vibration. We have established that everything, from the densest rock to the most sublime thought, is energy in motion, differing only by its frequency. Now, we must synthesize these truths into the most personal and practical application of all. We must speak of your personal frequency. You are not merely an observer in a vibrational universe. You are an active participant, a complex resonator, a living, breathing, broadcasting tower of energy. In every moment of every day, you are sending out a signal into the great quantum field of the all. This signal, this personal frequency, is the sum total of your being. It is the complex, blended chord created by the vibration of your thoughts, your deep-seated beliefs, your words, your physical health, and most powerfully of all, your dominant emotional state. Your feelings are the carrier wave of your broadcast. They are thought and energy fused together, and they are what the universe responds to most directly. This is not a vague metaphysical concept. It is the law of resonance in action. This law states, simply, that like attracts like. A vibration can only attract things that are vibrating in harmony with it. Think of a tuning fork. If you strike a tuning fork tuned to the note of C, another C-tuned tuning fork nearby will begin to hum, to vibrate in sympathy without ever being touched. However, a tuning fork tuned to the note of G will remain silent and unmoved. It is not on the same frequency. Your life operates on this exact same principle. You are the first tuning fork. Your personal frequency is the note you are constantly emitting. The people, the experiences, the opportunities, and the objects in the universe are all the other tuning forks. You will, by an infallible and impersonal law, attract and experience only those people and circumstances that resonate with your dominant frequency. You do not attract what you want. You do not even attract what you think you deserve. You attract what you are. To make this crystal clear, let us use the powerful metaphor of a radio. Imagine your consciousness is both a radio transmitter and a receiver. The frequency you are broadcasting is determined by your habitual emotional state, your inner home vibration. Let us say, for example, that through past conditioning and habit, your dominant state is one of low-grade anxiety and a feeling of scarcity. In this metaphor, you are constantly broadcasting on 98.7 Worry FM. Now, because your receiver is locked to your transmitter, you can only perceive what is being broadcast on 98.7 FM. So, your senses scan the world and pick up evidence that confirms your broadcast. You notice the bills piling up. You hear a news report about economic downturn. A friend complains about their own financial struggles. You miss an opportunity because you were too worried to act. Your entire reality becomes a seamless broadcast from Worry FM, confirming over and over that your anxiety is justified. But here is the secret. At the very same time, broadcasting with equal power and clarity, are other stations. 102.5 Peace FM is on the air. 105.3 Abundance Radio is playing its song. 107.9 Joyful Connection is available to everyone. These realities, these opportunities, these people and events are not being withheld from you. They exist, right here, right now, passing through your very being. But you cannot see them, you cannot hear them, you cannot experience them, for one simple reason: you are not tuned to their frequency. Your dial is set to 98.7, and as long as it remains there, the beautiful music playing on all the other stations will be nothing but imperceptible static to you. This explains why people get stuck in self-perpetuating loops. A person broadcasting a frequency of victimhood will consistently attract people and situations that make them feel like a victim, which in turn reinforces their victim frequency. A person broadcasting a signal of resentment will find themselves in a world full of things to be resentful about. The universe is not punishing them. It is simply a flawless, energetic mirror, matching their broadcast with a corresponding reality. It cannot do otherwise. This is the true nature of the law of attraction. It is not a cosmic vending machine where you place an order with a positive thought and receive a new car. It is the law of resonance. It is about becoming a vibrational match to the reality you wish to experience. You cannot stay tuned to Worry FM and hope to hear the songs of abundance. You must have the courage to consciously and deliberately change your own station. You must become the person who is already living on that desired frequency. What then is your personal frequency right now? What station are you broadcasting? Take a moment to be a neutral observer of your own inner state. What is the background music of your mind? Is it a tune of optimism and ease, or is it a low, dissonant hum of frustration or dread? Be honest, but do not judge. Judgment is a very low-frequency activity that will only lock you into the current station. Simply notice. Awareness is the first step toward consciously changing your broadcast. Every aspect of your life is a clue to your frequency. Look at your health. Vitality and wellness are high-frequency states. Chronic illness and fatigue are often associated with the heavy, energetic weight of low-frequency emotions like stress and grief. Look at your relationships. Are they built on trust, joy, and mutual growth? Or are they characterized by drama, dependence, and conflict? People resonate. You can only maintain a close relationship with someone who is a broad vibrational match to you. If you change your frequency, you will find that some old relationships may naturally and peacefully fall away, while new people who match your new resonance will be drawn into your life as if by magic. Look at your finances. Abundance is not about the amount of money in your bank. It is a frequency, a feeling state of trust, of flow, of worthiness, of knowing there is always enough. Scarcity is also a frequency, a feeling of tightness, of fear, of competition, of never having enough. A person can have millions of dollars and still be broadcasting on Scarcity FM, terrified of losing it all. And a person with very little can be broadcasting on Abundance FM, living in a state of gratitude and trust, and therefore constantly open to receiving more. You are the DJ of the soundtrack of your life. The song you play is your personal frequency, and the universe will dance to your tune. For too long you have let the song be chosen by old habits, by external influences, by the collective fears of the world. You have been broadcasting a default playlist you did not consciously create. The freedom, the power, comes from realizing you can reach out and deliberately change the station. You are not a prisoner of your current frequency. You are its master. It is not your identity. It is simply your current point of energetic focus. This is not a burden. It is the ultimate liberation. It means that no matter what your life looks like right now, no matter what station you find yourself tuned to, you hold in your hands the power to change the signal. The next question is the most important one. How? How do you practically and effectively raise your personal frequency? How do you turn the dial from fear to love, from lack to abundance, from dis-ease to vitality? This is not something left to chance. There is a science to it, an art form. It is the practical application of all we have learned. It is the science of raising your vibration. We now venture into a law so subtle and yet so powerful that it will fundamentally alter the way you perceive the world. It dissolves the rigid black and white thinking that keeps humanity trapped in conflict and judgment and replaces it with a fluid, unified, and compassionate understanding of reality. We have just explored the science of raising your vibration, the art of choosing a higher state. The fourth Hermetic principle, the principle of polarity, explains the very structure that makes this choice possible. The ancient axiom declares, everything is dual, everything has its poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. Let us unpack this profound statement. At its core, this principle reveals that the opposites you see everywhere in your life are not, in fact, separate and conflicting realities. They are merely two extremes of the same single thing. The universe does not operate in a system of mutually exclusive opposites. It operates on a system of continuums, of spectrums. To grasp this, we must begin with a simple physical example: heat and cold. In our everyday language, we speak of them as if they are two distinct forces. But are they? Consider a thermometer. Can you point to a specific mark on that thermometer and declare, here, precisely here, is where cold ends and hot begins? You cannot. The very question is meaningless. Hot and cold are simply relative terms we use to describe different degrees of one single underlying thing: temperature. What we call cold is simply a lower vibration of thermal energy. What we call hot is a higher vibration of that same energy. They are not two different phenomena, they are two poles of the one phenomenon of temperature. Cold is just the absence of heat, a movement towards one end of the scale. You cannot have cold without the concept of heat. They are inseparable, defined by each other, existing on a single sliding scale. Once you truly understand this one example, you hold the key to unlocking the entire principle. Now, let us apply this key to every other pair of opposites. Consider light and darkness. We are taught to see them as a great cosmic battle, but what is darkness? Darkness has no substance. It is not an energy in itself. It is simply the absence of light. You cannot go into a bright room and add darkness to it. You can only reduce the amount of light. Darkness is the pole of no light, while brilliance is the pole of much light. They are two extremes on the single spectrum of illumination. Consider large and small. These terms have no absolute meaning. They are purely relative. A mountain is large compared to a tree, but it is infinitesimally small compared to the sun. The sun is large compared to the earth, but it is a mere speck of dust compared to the galaxy. Large and small are not fixed realities. They are perspectives, points of view on the single continuum of scale. Now, we move from the physical to the metaphysical, where the principle becomes truly transformative. Consider courage and fear. We experience these as monumental opposing forces in our lives. We strive for courage and we desperately try to avoid fear. But the Hermetic wisdom teaches that they are not two different things. They are two poles of a single thing. What is that one thing? It could be called the spectrum of self-empowerment. Fear is the mental state at the pole of identifying with powerlessness. Courage is the mental state at the pole of identifying with power. They are the same fundamental energy of self-preservation, simply differing in degree and application. The person frozen by fear and the person acting with great courage are both intensely focused on the same situation. They have simply chosen to align their consciousness with opposite poles of the same energetic potential. This is why transmutation is possible. You can transform fear into courage because they are made of the same essential stuff. Let us go deeper to the most charged pair of opposites: love and hate. Our stories, our dramas, our entire culture is built upon the idea of love and hate as two warring armies. The Kybalion offers a radical reframe. Hate is not the true opposite of love. They are two poles on the single spectrum of connection or interest. To truly hate something, you must first care about it immensely. You must give it a tremendous amount of your mental and emotional energy. Indifference is what lies at the 0 point of this scale. Hate is not a different energy from love. It is love's energy that has been polarized towards the pole of repulsion, of separation, of destruction. It is a powerful connection, but a negative one. The intensity of a great hatred is often a testament to the potential for a great love that has been thwarted or distorted. They are identical in nature, but different in degree. This explains the old saying, "All truths are but half-truths." Any statement about reality that only acknowledges one pole is inherently incomplete. To say the universe is light is a half-truth, because it ignores the reality of darkness. To say people are good is a half-truth, because it ignores the human capacity for what we call evil. True wisdom lies not in choosing a side, but in being able to hold the tension of the opposites, to understand the entire spectrum as a single, unified whole. This brings us to the mysterious phrase, extremes meet. This suggests that the spectrum is not a straight line, but a circle. If you travel far enough to one extreme, you begin to take on the qualities of the other. Intense cold on the skin can produce a burning sensation, indistinguishable from a burn caused by heat. A legal system that strives for absolute order can become so rigid and oppressive that it creates the very chaos it sought to prevent. A person driven by a fanatical, obsessive love can become so controlling and possessive that their actions are indistinguishable from hate. The poles bend back to touch one another, revealing their shared nature. What is the purpose of this law? Why live in a dualistic world? Because without polarity there would be no contrast. Without contrast, there could be no experience, no growth, no awareness. How could you know warmth without the reference point of cold? How could you appreciate connection without understanding separation? The universe creates these poles so that consciousness can experience the vast range of itself. The poles create the energetic tension necessary for movement, for choice, for the entire dance of life. Understanding this principle is the key to releasing absolute judgment. When you see that the person acting out of hate is operating on the same spectrum as love, just at a different pole, it does not excuse their behavior, but it allows for a deeper compassion. You cease to see them as an alien other, and instead see them as a consciousness caught at the negative pole of an energy that also exists within you. When you feel fear, you no longer condemn yourself as weak. You recognize that you are simply holding the pole of fear, and that the pole of courage is part of the very same staff in your hands. You are no longer a victim of a black and white world. You are an artist living in a world of infinite shades. You see that every quality has its opposite, and that every opposite is just the other end of the same stick. This knowledge, while philosophically profound, is not meant to be a mere intellectual curiosity. It is the theoretical foundation for an incredible human power. If courage and fear are just two ends of the same pole, and you are the one holding it, does that not imply that you can change your grip? Does it not suggest that you can consciously choose to slide your focus from one pole to the other? This is the great secret that polarity reveals. It hands you the key to your own mental states. It confirms that you have the power to choose your position on any given spectrum. This deliberate act of mental mastery is the next step in our journey. It is the practical magic known as the art of polarization. We have unveiled a universe of spectrums, a reality where opposites are not warring factions, but two poles of a single truth. We have seen that heat and cold, love and hate, courage and fear are not different things, but different degrees of the same thing. This knowledge alone is a profound liberation, freeing you from the prison of black and white thinking. But the Hermetic teachings are never merely philosophical, they are intensely practical. This principle is not just a map of reality, it is a user's manual for your own consciousness. It grants you access to the divine technology of the soul, the art of polarization. The art of polarization is the deliberate, conscious act of changing your own mental states at will, by sliding your attention from one pole of a spectrum to its opposite. It is the practical application of the truth that you are not your feelings, but the witness and master of your feelings. It is the method by which you take the staff of any given life situation and consciously choose which end to hold. To grasp this power, imagine you are holding a simple wooden staff. This staff represents the spectrum of empowerment. One end, touching the ground, is carved with the word fear. The other end, pointing to the sky, is carved with the word courage. Your current emotional state is represented by where your hand is gripping the staff. For most of your life, you have likely believed that your hand is glued to a certain position. When a challenging situation arises, your hand instinctively grips the lower end of the staff, the pole of fear. You feel the sensations of fear, the tightened chest, the racing thoughts, the feeling of powerlessness, and you believe this is an absolute, unchangeable reality. You believe you are afraid. The art of polarization begins with the revolutionary whisper. Your hand is not glued. You can move it. You do not need to discard the staff of empowerment and search for a different one. You do not need to pretend the fear end of the staff doesn't exist. You simply need to realize that you possess the power to slide your grip. This is the essence of mental mastery. It is not about fighting reality, but about consciously choosing your polarity within that reality. So, how is this done? How do you slide your grip from the pole of despair to the pole of hope, or from the pole of resentment to the pole of peace. It is an act of will, attention, and imagination. It is the inner alchemy we have spoken of, applied with the precision of this law. The first step is always acknowledgement. You must notice, without judgment, where your hand is currently gripping the staff. You observe with the calm of a scientist. I am feeling a great deal of anxiety right now. My hand is firmly on the anxiety pole of the peace staff. This simple, detached observation creates a crucial space. You have ceased to be the anxiety and have become the one who is observing the anxiety. You are no longer the feeling. You are the consciousness holding the staff. The second step is to deny the absolute power of the negative pole. This is not denial of its existence, but denial of its dominion over you. It is a quiet, firm, inner declaration. While I am currently feeling fear, I am not fear itself. This feeling is a vibration, a position on a spectrum, and I am the master of my own mental focus. I have the power to move. This act reclaims your authority. It reminds you that you are the musician, not the instrument. The third and most crucial step is the active transmutation. This is the conscious sliding of your grip. It is accomplished by willfully withdrawing your attention from the negative pole and placing it with unwavering focus upon the positive pole. You must cultivate the feeling of the desired state. If you wish to move from fear to courage, you cannot just think the word courage. You must inhabit it. Close your eyes. What is the physical posture of courage? Straighten your spine, lift your chin. Breathe deeply and slowly from your diaphragm, not shallowly from your chest. How does a courageous person think? They focus on solutions, not problems. They focus on their strength, not their weakness. Deliberately begin to think these thoughts. And most importantly, what is the feeling of courage? Use your imagination. Remember a time, no matter how small, when you acted with courage. Relive that moment. Feel that sensation of empowerment, of stability, of inner resolve, swelling in your solar plexus. Generate the feeling right here, right now. At first, this may feel like pretending. This is normal. Your mind, accustomed to its old position, will resist, but you persist. You hold your attention on the new pole. You maintain the posture. You continue to think the thoughts and feel the feelings of courage. You are not fighting fear. You are simply giving all of your energy and attention to its opposite pole. The energy that was feeding the fear is now being redirected to nourish courage. The pole that you focus on is the pole that becomes magnified in your experience. Let us take another example. Someone has wronged you, and your hand is gripping the pole of resentment on the connection staff. The feeling is bitter, corrosive, and heavy. You acknowledge it. Then, you make the choice to slide your grip. You withdraw your attention from replaying the offense, and you willfully place it on the opposite pole. Compassion, or, at the very least, neutral understanding. You are not condoning their action. You are freeing yourself. You might think, this person must have been in a state of great pain or ignorance to act this way. You consider the situation from a higher, more detached perspective. You breathe out the bitterness and breathe in a sense of peace. You feel the heavy grip of resentment loosening, and your hand slides along the staff to a place of greater calm. You have just performed an act of profound mental alchemy. This is an art that requires practice. The mind has grooves of habit. If you have spent decades with your hand clamped to the pole of self-doubt, your mental muscles are trained to be there. Your first attempts to slide your grip to self-confidence will feel strenuous. Your mind will try to snap back to its familiar, miserable position. Do not be discouraged. This is simply mental inertia. Every time you consciously practice sliding your grip, you are carving a new neural pathway. You are strengthening your mental muscles. With each repetition, it becomes easier, faster, and more natural. Mastery of this art does not mean you will live in a state of permanent, blissful happiness at the extreme positive pole of every spectrum. Such a state would be unbalanced and inhuman. True mastery is having the fluidity and skill to move along the spectrum at will. It is knowing that when life presents you with a situation that causes your hand to instinctively grip the pole of sadness, you have the ability to acknowledge the sadness, feel it without being consumed by it, and then gently slide your grip towards peace when you are ready. It is the freedom from being a prisoner of your own emotional reactions. However, we must be aware of a greater motion at play. While you have this incredible power to choose your polarity, the universe itself has a natural swing, a tide that flows between the poles. Life is not static. There is an ebb and a flow to all things, a pendulum swing from one extreme to the other. You can learn to master your position on the staff, but you must also learn to navigate the great cosmic rhythm that causes the staff itself to swing. Understanding this grand, sweeping motion is the key to an even deeper level of peace and mastery. This brings us to the next great law, the principle of rhythm. We have journeyed inward, discovering the power to choose our thoughts, to shift our polarity, and to embrace the totality of our being, shadow and all. We have learned to hold the staff of reality and consciously choose our grip. Now, we must confront a force that is greater than our personal will, a law so vast and so impersonal that it governs the pulse of the cosmos and the beating of our own hearts. This is the fifth Hermetic principle, the universal, inescapable truth of rhythm. The axiom states, everything flows, out and in, everything has its tides, all things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Let these words wash over you. This principle reveals that the entire universe breathes. It operates on a grand, sweeping, and predictable cycle of inflow and outflow, of advance and retreat, of rise and fall. Nothing remains static. Nothing stays at the peak forever, and nothing is condemned to the valley for eternity. There is a great pendulum swinging through all of creation, from the largest cosmic event to the most subtle of your own moods. To be unaware of this law is to spend your life being tossed about like a ship in a storm. To understand it is to learn to navigate the tides of existence with wisdom and grace. Look first to the world outside you, and you will see this rhythm etched into every facet of reality. You see it in the majestic rising and setting of the sun, the eternal dance between day and night. You see it in the waxing and waning of the moon, from the fullness of its light to the darkness of its new phase. You see it in the turning of the seasons, the exuberant growth of spring giving way to the vibrant peak of summer, which then yields to the graceful decay of autumn and the deep, restorative slumber of winter. The ocean tides, pulled by the moon, are a constant, powerful reminder of this law, an endless cycle of high tide and low tide. This rhythm governs the story of humanity itself. Great empires rise, reaching a zenith of power and influence, only to inevitably crumble and fall, their magnificent cities turning to dust, making way for new civilizations to emerge. Economies swing from periods of boom and prosperity to periods of bust and recession. Political power swings from one ideology to the other and back again, a pendulum of collective thought. Fashions, philosophies, and artistic movements all follow this same pattern of rise, peak, and decline. And this grand, impersonal rhythm flows through you as well. It is in the very mechanics of your body. It is the constant in-breath and out-breath that sustains your life. It is the systolic and diastolic beat of your heart, the cycle of pressure and release. It is the rhythm of waking and sleeping, the daily swing from conscious activity to unconscious restoration. Your very life is an expression of this law. You are born, you grow in strength and vitality, you reach a peak of maturity, and then begins the slow, graceful decline of old age, leading to the final transition. Most importantly for our work, this principle governs your mental and emotional worlds. Your moods, your energy levels, your creativity, they all operate on a rhythmic cycle. There are times when you feel elated, full of energy, when ideas flow effortlessly and challenges seem small. The pendulum is at its peak, but inevitably the pendulum swings back. There will be times of sadness, of lethargy, when you feel uninspired and the smallest task feels like a monumental effort. This is not a sign that you are broken, unstable, or failing. It is the natural, lawful, and necessary downswing of the pendulum. This is where the law of compensation becomes a crucial piece of wisdom. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. This means that the intensity of any experience will be matched by a swing to its opposite pole. A period of manic, euphoric joy is often followed by a period of deep melancholy. A speculative bubble of extreme financial greed is always followed by a crash of equal magnitude. A fit of violent, uncontrolled rage will be followed by a state of exhaustion and remorse. The pendulum must balance itself. This is not a punishment from God or the universe. It is a simple, impersonal law of energetic physics. It teaches us the wisdom of moderation, of seeking a state of calm, centered peace rather than chasing extreme emotional highs, for in doing so, we are unwittingly setting ourselves up for an equally extreme low. The great mistake of the unenlightened person is to believe that the current position of the pendulum is permanent. When things are going well, when the pendulum is high on the side of success and happiness, they become arrogant, attached, and fearful of losing their position. They try to nail the pendulum to the peak, an impossible task that only creates anxiety. Then, when the pendulum inevitably swings to the side of adversity and sorrow, they fall into despair. They believe that the darkness will last forever, that the sun will never rise again. They forget the law. They forget that the swing to the left is the very thing that gathers the momentum for the eventual swing back to the right. The depth of the winter determines the splendor of the spring. To understand the principle of rhythm is to cultivate a profound sense of inner peace rooted in the wisdom of impermanence. When you are at a peak, you enjoy it fully, but with a quiet understanding that it is a phase. You practice non-attachment, filled with gratitude for the moment, but prepared for the natural shift. When you are in a valley, you do not despair. You practice patience, knowing that this too is a phase. You use the quiet, introspective time of the downswing for rest, for healing, for integrating the lessons of the previous peak. You know, with absolute certainty, that the tide will turn. This law explains so much of our human suffering. We live in a culture that denies rhythm. It demands perpetual growth, constant happiness, and endless productivity. It tells us that feeling sad or tired is a problem to be medicated, that a period of failure is a source of shame, that aging is a disease to be fought. This constant striving against the natural tide is exhausting. It is the source of burnout, of anxiety, of a deep sense of inadequacy. To accept the law of rhythm is to give yourself permission to be human, to be a part of the natural world, to honor your own seasons. You are no longer a victim of your moods. You are an observer of your inner tides. You learn to recognize when your creative tide is high, and you ride that wave to create, to produce, to engage with the world. You also learn to recognize when your tide is low, and instead of fighting it and berating yourself for being unproductive, you honor it. You rest, you read, you reflect, you recharge, knowing that this fallow period is essential for your next phase of growth. But the Hermetic teachings do not stop at mere acceptance of this law. Acceptance is the first step, the step that brings peace. But the second step is mastery. For the sages discovered that while the law of rhythm is inviolable, one does not have to be a helpless victim of its swing. It is possible to escape being tossed back and forth. Is this a contradiction? Number? It is the application of a higher law. The master does not try to stop the pendulum. That is impossible. To attempt to do so would be to try and stop the universe from breathing. Instead, the master learns to rise above the swing. They learn to find the point of stillness at the pivot, at the top of the pendulum, while it continues its motion beneath them. They learn the art of neutralization. They learn to use the law instead of being used by it. How is this done? How does one find this point of calm above the inevitable tides of life? This is the next great secret, the key to mastering the pendulum. We have stood in quiet awe before the great cosmic breathing, the principle of rhythm. We have acknowledged its undeniable power, the endless pendulum swing that governs the tides of our moods, our fortunes, and our very lives. The sun will always set, the tide will always go out, the winter will always come. To understand this is to find a deep and abiding peace, a release from the struggle against the current. But a question lingers, a question born of the human spirit's unquenchable thirst for freedom. Are we then merely passengers on this cosmic tide, doomed to be carried from the shores of elation to the rocks of despair and back again for all of our days. Is our only recourse a passive acceptance of our fate? The Hermetic masters answer with a resounding no. They teach that while the principle of rhythm is inviolable, its effects can be overcome. This is not a contradiction. It is the application of a universal axiom. A higher law can transcend a lower one. You cannot will gravity to cease, but you can apply the higher laws of aerodynamics to build an airplane that transcends gravity's pull and soars through the sky. In the same way, you cannot stop the pendulum of rhythm, but you can learn to apply a higher law of consciousness to rise above its swing and escape its effects on your well-being. This is the supreme art of the master. This is the art of mastering the pendulum. Imagine again the great pendulum, swinging endlessly between the poles of joy and sorrow, success and failure. The average person lives their life chained to the heavy bob at the bottom of the pendulum. Their emotional state is completely dependent on its position. They are a victim of the swing. The first mistake they make is in trying to fight the pendulum's motion. When it swings towards sadness, they push against it with all their might, trying to force it back towards happiness. This is exhausting and ultimately futile. It is like trying to push back the ocean tide with your bare hands. You only waste your energy and create more suffering. The master pursues a different path, a path of wisdom and skill. This path involves two great techniques, the law of neutralization and the law of counter-action. The primary technique is neutralization. This is the art of finding the point of stillness in the midst of motion. The master understands that while the bob of the pendulum swings wildly, the pivot point at the very top from which it hangs is almost perfectly still. The goal, then, is not to stop the swing, but to mentally elevate your consciousness from the chaotic motion of the bob to the serene stillness of the pivot. This is the ultimate application of the art of polarization. Instead of polarizing yourself to the extreme positive end of the spectrum, you learn to polarize yourself to the neutral point of pure awareness. This state of neutralization is not one of cold indifference or apathy. Apathy is a low vibration state, found down in the mud with the swinging bob. True neutrality is a high vibration state of dynamic, wakeful poise. It is the consciousness of the silent witness, the I am presence within you, that is aware of the sadness, but is not the sadness. It is aware of the joy, but is not the joy. It is the calm, expansive sky that watches impassively as the clouds of emotion drift by. Cultivating this state is the ultimate purpose of meditation and mindfulness. When you feel the pendulum beginning its powerful swing into a negative, statey wave of grief, a surge of anxiety, a fog of depression, you first acknowledge it without resistance. Ah, the tide is going out. Then, instead of being swept out to sea, you deploy the anchor of your awareness. You bring your focus to your breath. You feel the sensations in your body. You withdraw your energy from the story in your head, from the drama of the swing, and you rest in the simple, unshakable reality of the present moment. You find the pivot point. In this state of poised neutrality, the great emotional waves may still crash around you, but they no longer have the power to pull you under. You have found the eye of the storm. For a more active approach to this mastery, we can use the metaphor of a surfer. A surfer does not stand on the shore and command the waves to stop. That would be foolish. The surfer respects the immense power of the ocean. They study its rhythms. They learn to read the language of the swells. They do not fight the wave. They learn to ride it. When a great wave approaches a wave that would crush and terrify a person standing in the surfer, through skill, balance, and precise timing, positions themselves to harness the wave's own energy. They rise with the wave, gliding upon its surface with a sense of exhilarating freedom and grace. They use the very force that would have been their destruction as their vehicle for transcendence. This is how you must learn to treat the great waves of life's circumstances and emotions. When a wave of adversity comes, a job loss, a difficult diagnosis, a painful breakup, do not let it pull you under into despair. Do not identify with the wave. Instead, become the surfer. Stay conscious. Keep your balance. Ask, what is this wave here to teach me? How can I use this powerful energy for my growth? What skill is this challenge forcing me to develop? By doing this, you are no longer a victim of the wave. You are using its momentum to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. You are surfing the tides of your own life. This leads to the second Hermetic technique, the law of counteraction. This is for the master who is not content to simply neutralize the swing, but wishes to maintain a chosen state. It requires keen self-awareness. The moment you perceive the pendulum beginning its downswing into an undesirable state, you do not wait for it to gather momentum. You immediately apply the law of counteraction. You create an upward swing of your own initiative. You refuse to participate in the downward slide. For instance, you wake up and feel the subtle beginnings of a familiar melancholy, the first slow swing towards a day of sadness. The untrained mind would follow it down, finding more and more reasons to be sad until it is deep in the valley. The master, however, notices this initial psychic shift and immediately acts. They get up and put on uplifting music. They call a friend who makes them laugh. They go for a vigorous walk in nature. They sit down and write a list of things they are profoundly grateful for. They consciously and deliberately initiate a counter-rhythm, a wave of high vibration energy that meets the descending wave, neutralizes its momentum, and begins to carry their consciousness back upward. This is not about suppressing the initial feeling, but about refusing to grant it the energy it needs to grow. It is the ultimate act of mental and spiritual proactivity. Both of these techniques, neutralization and counteraction, require practice and will. Your mind has a powerful inertia, and its old habit is to be tossed about by the pendulum. But with each conscious act of finding the pivot point, with each skillful ride upon the wave, with each deliberate counter-swing you initiate, you are strengthening your spiritual muscles. You are rewriting your own laws of being. The wisdom of rhythm is not a sentence to a life of fluctuation, but an invitation to a life of masterful artistry. You learn that the downswings are not curses, but opportunities to practice your balance. The valleys are not prisons, but fertile ground where the seeds of future growth are sown. You come to understand that without the challenge of the waves, the surfer would never experience the thrill of the ride. Without the pull of the pendulum, the master would never develop the strength to rise above it. In mastering the pendulum, you perform the ultimate alchemical act. You move from being the effect of the rhythmic forces of life to being the conscious cause of your own inner state. This choice to be a cause rather than an effect is not just a psychological trick. It is a fundamental shift in your relationship with the universe. It places you in alignment with the next great Hermetic law, the one that governs the entire intricate machinery of creation and consequence, the principle of cause and effect. We stand now before the great governing mechanism of the cosmos. The law that ensures the universe is one of intelligent order and not one of chaotic madness. We have learned to master our inner states, to polarize our thoughts, and to ride the great rhythms of life. All of these arts are predicated on this next inviolable truth, the sixth Hermetic principle, the law of cause and effect. The axiom is simple, absolute, and profound. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for a law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. In these few lines, the entire concept of luck, accident, and chance is swept from the table. There are no exceptions. There are no coincidences. There are no random events in the universe. What we call chance is merely the limit of our understanding. It is a label we apply to an effect whose cause is hidden from our view, a chain of events so complex that we cannot trace it back to its origin. Imagine a man from a primitive tribe seeing a film projected on a screen for the first time. He would see images appearing and disappearing as if by magic. He would call it a miracle or chance. But a person who understands the projector, the film, the light, and the electricity sees not chance, but a perfect and predictable chain of cause and effect. So it is with our lives. We experience events that seem random or unjust only because we are unaware of the subtle and intricate chains of causation on the mental and spiritual planes that have brought them into being. The universe is a perfect machine, a flawless intelligence. Nothing within it is random. To understand this law in your own life, Picture your consciousness as a perfectly still, clear pond of water. Every single thing you do, every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take is like casting a stone into this pond. The casting of the stone is the cause. The ripples that spread out from that point of impact, expanding to touch every shore of your reality, are the effect. This is the crucial understanding. You cannot separate the stone from the ripples. They are two parts of a single event. The moment the cause is initiated, the effect is born, and its manifestation is inevitable. You cannot throw a stone of anger into the pond and command the ripples to be peaceful. You cannot throw a stone of deception and expect the ripples to be those of trust. You cannot broadcast thoughts of lack and scarcity and then wonder why the ripples of your financial life are turbulent and shallow. For most of their lives, people are unconscious stone throwers. They are not aware of the immense power of their thoughts and feelings. They carelessly, habitually toss stones of fear, judgment, gossip, envy, and resentment into the pond of their being. Then they stand on the shore, gazing at their troubled, murky reflection in the water, and they curse the pond. They blame the world, they blame others, they blame God for their unhappy circumstances, never realizing that they themselves are the perpetual cause of the turbulence they are experiencing. The spiritual path, the path of the master, is the path of becoming a conscious stone thrower. It is the practice of choosing with immense care and deliberation the quality of the causes you wish to initiate in your life. It is knowing that a single thought of pure, unconditional love is a cause that will send out harmonious ripples. It is knowing that an act of selfless kindness is a cause that will ripple back to you in unexpected and beautiful ways. It is taking full responsibility for the state of your pond by taking full responsibility for the stones you throw. The Hermetic teachings also speak of different planes of causation. This explains why life can seem so complex. There is the physical plane, the mental plane, and the spiritual plane all interacting. A cause on the physical plane, like tripping over a rock, is a physical effect. But this is the lowest and most conditioned plane. The higher planes always have dominance over the lower planes. Your mental state is a higher plane of causation. A deeply held belief of unworthiness is a powerful mental cause. Its effect may be a series of physical event-sabotaged relationships, missed career opportunities that seem unrelated, but they are all the direct result of that single, powerful, unseen cause on the mental plane. This is why true change is always an inside job. To change the effect, you must alter the cause. And the most powerful causes you can initiate are not on the physical plane of action, but on the mental plane of thought and belief. Two people can perform the exact same physical action, but if the mental cause behind it is different, the effects will be vastly different. An act of giving that is caused by a desire for recognition will produce a very different effect than the same act caused by a state of pure, unconditional generosity. This principle seems to lead to a great philosophical question. If everything is governed by this inescapable law, are we then just puppets? Do we have any free will? The Hermetic answer is beautifully nuanced. The majority of humanity, the masses who are unaware of these laws, have very little free will. They are the effects. They are the sum of their genetic inheritance, their childhood conditioning, their cultural programming, and the suggestions of those around them. They are like leaves blown by the wind, pawns on a chessboard, moved by forces and players they do not perceive. They are effects of 1,000 hidden causes. But the master, the initiate, exercises their will in a different way. Your freedom does not lie in the ability to evade the consequences of your actions. No one can do that. Your freedom lies in your absolute power to choose your causes. You cannot choose the ripples, but you can always choose the stone. While you are bound by the effects of your past choices, you are perfectly free in this present moment to choose a new cause that will create a new future. Your current life is the sum total of the effects of all the stones you have ever thrown in this life and perhaps others. This is not a reason for guilt or regret. Guilt is a useless emotion that only serves to throw more negative stones into the pond. Instead, this knowledge is the key to your liberation. If your present reality was created by past causes, then your future reality is being created by your present causes. The power to change everything is not in the past or the future. It is here, now. It is in the very next thought you choose to think. It is in the next word you choose to speak. This is the law that underpins what is commonly known as karma. Karma is not a system of cosmic punishment and reward meted out by a judgmental deity. It is the impersonal, unerring law of the universe balancing its own books. It is the law of the ripples. It is designed not to punish you, but to teach you. If you put your hand in a fire, you get burned. The burn is not a punishment. It is a direct effect of a cause designed to teach you about the nature of fire. If you act with hatred, you experience a life filled with hatred's ripple, isolation, bitterness, conflict. This is not a punishment. It is a direct lesson from the universe on the nature of hatred's energy. When you finally learn the lesson, you will consciously choose to throw a different stone. The law of cause and effect is the steel framework of the universe. It is precise, mathematical, and utterly just. It means that nothing is ever truly lost, and no act is ever without meaning. Every silent prayer, every secret act of kindness, every effort to overcome a negative habit is a potent cause that has set into motion an unerring effect that will return to you in due time. Most people live on the plane of effect, subject to the will of others, to the conditions of their environment, to the ripples of their own unconscious past. They are the pawns on the chessboard of life, but you are learning the rules of the game. And with this knowledge comes the opportunity to change your position. You can learn to rise from the plane of effect and take your place on the higher plane of causation. You can stop being the pawn and learn to become the player. This is the next step in your great awakening. You have now been initiated into the great law of order, the principle of cause and effect. You understand that the universe is not a chaotic accident, but a place of perfect, unwavering law, where every action, every thought, every cause has its inevitable effect. You have seen how most of humanity lives adrift on the great ocean of life, unaware that they themselves are the cause of the very currents that pull them and the storms that batter them. They are living on the plane of effect, and to live there is to live as a pawn in the grand game of life. A pawn on a chessboard has no will of its own. It is moved by the hands of players it may not even perceive. Its path is determined by the desires, the strategies, and the whims of a greater force. The pawn's experience is one of powerlessness. It is pushed forward, it is captured, it is sacrificed, it is an effect. This is the state of the average person. Their moods are the effect of the weather, the news, or the words of another. Their happiness is the effect of their external circumstances. Their actions are the effects of their deep, unconscious conditioning. They live in a state of reaction, their strings pulled by 1,000 unseen causes. Their language is the language of the pawn. He made me angry. This situation is stressing me out. I had no choice. But there is another way to live. The Hermetic wisdom reveals that you are not doomed to remain a pawn. Within you lies the potential to rise to a higher plane, to shift your consciousness, to change your relationship with the very laws of existence. You have the power to stop being the piece that is moved, and to become the conscious, thinking player who moves the pieces. To become the player is to ascend from the plane of effect to the higher plane of causation. This is the great work. It is the most important decision you will ever make. To be a player is to live from a place of radical responsibility. It is to understand that while you may not control all the external events of your life, you have absolute sovereignty over your response to those events. The player understands that nothing and no one outside of themselves can make them feel or do anything. Their inner state is a cause they consciously choose, not an effect of the outside world. To grasp the difference, consider the powerful metaphor of a great storm. The storm represents the challenges of life, the economic hardships, the difficult relationships, the unexpected crises. These winds blow upon everyone, the pawn and the player alike. In this storm, a dead leaf is caught in the gale. It is tossed violently, spun around, and driven into the mud without purpose or direction. It has no will, no power, no internal guidance system. It is a pure effect of the wind. This is the pawn. But high above, in the very same storm, an eagle soars. The eagle does not deny the wind. It does not fight the storm, it respects the storm's power. But the eagle is not a victim of the wind, it is a master of a higher law. It understands the principles of aerodynamics, the science of its own wings, the art of lift. It adjusts its feathers, angles its wings, and uses the very same gusts of wind that batter the leaf as a source of power. The eagle rises higher because of the storm. It has ascended to the plane of cause. It is the player. You have been living as the leaf. The invitation of this knowledge is to begin learning the principles of the eagle. The storm of your life will not cease, but you can learn to fly. How does one make this momentous shift from pawn to player? It begins with a single, profound, and unconditional decision, the vow of 100% responsibility. From this moment forward, you must vow to stop blaming anything or anyone outside of yourself for your inner state. No more blaming your partner for your anger. No more blaming your boss for your stress. No more blaming your past for your present limitations. To blame is to give your power away. It is to declare, you are the cause, and I am the helpless effect. It is the mantra of the pawn. When you take 100% responsibility, you take back your power. You may not have caused the event, but you are the sole and absolute cause of your experience of the event. This is the beginning of freedom. As long as you believe someone else holds the key to your happiness, you will remain their prisoner. The moment you realize the key is in your own pocket, you can walk out of the prison anytime you choose. The second step is to master the sacred pause. The space between what happens to you and how you respond to it is the birthplace of your power. For the pawn, this space is non-existent. The stimulus and the reaction are fused together into a single automatic reflex. A critical comment is heard, and anger instantly flashes. But the player learns to insert a conscious pause into that space. When the challenging stimulus arrives, the difficult email, the unexpected bill, the critical remark, you learn to do nothing. You breathe. You create a moment of stillness. In this sacred pause, you are no longer a reactor. You are an observer. And in this space, you can ask the question of the player, who do I choose to be in this moment? What cause do I wish to set in motion right now? Do I choose the conditioned reaction of the leaf or the conscious response of the eagle? In that pause, you can choose to align yourself with your highest values rather than your lowest impulses. You can choose patience over frustration. You can choose compassion over judgment. You can choose to see the situation as a source of strength rather than a source of stress. You are no longer being played by the game. You are making a conscious move. The player also understands where to focus their energy. They understand the difference between their circle of concern and their circle of influence. The circle of concern contains all the things that worry us: global politics, the economy, the weather, what other people think of us. The pawn lives here, wasting immense energy trying to control things they cannot, feeling perpetually anxious and powerless. The circle of influence is much smaller. It contains the only things you have direct, unequivocal control over: your thoughts, your beliefs, your attitude, your choices, your actions. The player ignores the chaotic circle of concern and focuses all of their magnificent energy on their circle of influence. They know that by mastering their own inner world of causes, they paradoxically begin to expand their influence on the outer world of effects. By becoming a cause of peace within themselves, they begin to create ripples of peace in their environment. This is the path from pawn to player. It is the path of radical responsibility, of the sacred pause, of conscious choice, and of focused energy. It is a moment-to-moment practice of asking yourself, am I being a cause, or am I being an effect? Am I the one throwing the stone, or am I just a ripple from a stone someone else has thrown? This shift is the very essence of practical magic. It is the understanding that your future is not something you discover, but something you create. Your current life is the result of your past consciousness. Your future life will be the result of your present consciousness. The entire power of creation is vested in the causes you initiate, right here, right now. This conscious creation, this deliberate choosing of causes to create desired effects, is the very art of mastering the great law of consequence that we call karma. By becoming the player, you cease to be a slave to your past karma. and you become the conscious architect of your future destiny. We have now traveled through 6 of the 7 great Hermetic principles. We have unveiled a universe that is mental, that operates on perfect correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, and unerring cause and effect. We have explored the laws that govern the maintenance and balance of the cosmos. Now, we arrive at the final, crowning principle, the one that explains not how the universe is maintained, but how it creates. This is the law of generation, the engine of all manifestation, the sacred mystery known as the 7th Hermetic principle, the principle of gender. Let us be clear from the very beginning. When the Hermetic teachings speak of gender, they are not speaking of the physical sex of a body, nor of the social roles and identities that we associate with the words masculine and feminine. This principle is infinitely broader, more cosmic, and more fundamental. It states that gender is in everything. Every person, every atom, every planet, every thought, every single thing on every plane of existence contains within it both the masculine and the feminine principles. These are not physical attributes. They are 2 universal, complementary, and essential modes of energy. Nothing can come into being without the interplay of these 2 great forces. To understand creation, you must understand these 2 poles of being. Let us define them. The masculine principle is the projective, expressive, and active force. It is the will. It is the giver, the initiator, the spark. Think of the sun. The sun projects its light and heat outward, giving of its energy ceaselessly. It does not receive light, it emits it. This is the nature of the masculine energy. It is the I am consciousness. It is the force that desires, that directs, that focuses, that pushes forth into the world. It is the seed, containing the entire blueprint and the driving will to grow. It is the focused thought, the clear intention, the question that seeks an answer. In the language of the East, this is the yang energy. The feminine principle, on the other hand, is the receptive, formative, and nurturing force. It is the womb of creation. It is the receiver, the gestator, the builder. Think of the earth or the deep ocean. The earth does not project the seed. It receives it. It then takes that seed, nurtures it within its dark, fertile soil, and uses its own substance to build the seed's blueprint into a physical form. This is the nature of the feminine energy. It is the vast, silent field of being in which all things can grow. It is the subconscious mind, the emotional body, the realm of intuition, feeling, and imagination. It is the silent, empty space that allows a sound to exist. In the language of the East, this is the yin energy. It is absolutely crucial to understand that one is not superior to the other. They are 2 halves of a single unified creative process. They are utterly codependent. A world with only the masculine principle would be a world of chaotic, uncontained forces, sparks of intention with nowhere to land, seeds scattered on barren rock, energy projected into a void with no possibility of taking form. It would be a state of constant, fruitless doing. A world with only the feminine principle would be a world of passive, unformed potential fertile soil with no seeds planted in it, a womb that is forever empty, a constant state of dreaming with no will to make the dreams real. It would be a state of stagnant, powerless being. Creation, manifestation, birth weather of a child, a work of art, a business, or a new reality happens only when these 2 principles meet and interact. This is the sacred marriage, the alchemical union. The masculine must project its seed of intention into the fertile womb of the feminine, which then receives that seed, nourishes it with the substance of belief and feeling, and gestates it over time until it is ready to be born into the physical world. Now, let us bring this cosmic law into your own being. You, regardless of your physical body, contain both of these principles within you. You have a masculine mind, the conscious mind that thinks, directs, and forms intentions. And you have a feminine mind, the subconscious and emotional body that feels, intuits, and gestates those intentions into reality. The state of your life is a direct reflection of the state of this inner marriage. Much of the imbalance and suffering we see in the world and in our own lives comes from an imbalance between these 2 energies. Our modern world, for the most part, has become pathologically imbalanced towards the masculine. It worships doing over being. It values logic over intuition. It celebrates relentless action, aggressive competition, and constant outward projection. It urges us to hustle, to strive, to conquer. This overemphasis on the masculine, while ignoring the feminine, leads to burnout, to a deep sense of inner emptiness, to a world full of technological marvels but devoid of soul. It creates people who are brilliant at scattering their seeds, but have forgotten how to cultivate the soil within. Their inner world is barren, and so their outer achievements, no matter how great, feel hollow. On the other hand, a person who is lost in an unbalanced feminine energy lives in a state of passive dreaminess. They are full of feelings, brilliant ideas, and deep intuitions, but they lack the focused will of the masculine to give their dreams direction. They receive endless inspiration, but fail to plant it as a concrete intention. Their fertile soil remains fallow, and they feel powerless, their potential unrealized, adrift on the ocean of their own emotions without a rudder to steer their course. The path of the master is the path of inner balance. It is the path of becoming a whole and integrated being by honoring, developing, and uniting both the masculine and feminine energies within yourself. It is about learning to be both the sun and the earth. This means cultivating your masculine power, the ability to think clearly, to make decisions, to set firm intentions, and to take focused, disciplined action in the world. It is the courage to project your will, to say, "This is what I choose to create." And it means equally cultivating your feminine power, the ability to be still, to listen to your intuition, to feel your emotions without being overwhelmed by them, and to trust in the process of gestation. It is creating a rich, fertile, receptive inner state of being, a subconscious mind that is peaceful, trusting, and ready to receive the seeds of your conscious intention. It is the courage to simply be, to surrender, to allow. To be a truly powerful creator, you must learn to dance between these two poles. You must use your masculine will to choose a seed, a clear and specific desire. But then, you must shift into your feminine receptivity to plant that seed in the trusting, fertile soil of your subconscious. You cannot force a seed to grow through aggressive masculine action. You must surrender it to the dark, quiet, feminine process of gestation. You water it with feelings of faith and trust, and you allow it to grow in its own time, according to the laws of nature. Think of your life now. Are you honoring both of these sacred energies within you? Do you give yourself time to simply be, to feel, to listen to your inner wisdom? Or are you constantly pushing, doing, striving? Do you have clear, focused intentions for your life? Or are you adrift on a sea of vague wishes and undefined feelings? To find your balance is to find your wholeness. It is to become both the immovable mountain and the flowing river. It is to possess both the fierce clarity of the eagle and the profound intuition of the dove. It is to unite your thinking with your feeling, your action with your being. This inner, sacred union is not just a path to personal peace. It is the very key to conscious creation. It is the secret to how a thought, a mere spark of masculine will, can be nurtured into a manifest reality. How then do we practically conduct this sacred marriage within ourselves? How do we unite these two great forces to bring our deepest desires into the world of form? This is the final practical art that the Hermetic teachings bestow upon us. We have arrived at the final practical application of the 7 great laws. We have journeyed from the cosmic truth that the all is mind down through the intimate laws that govern our own consciousness, and now we return to the great mystery of creation itself. We have identified the 2 great universal principles, the masculine and the feminine, the sphere of intention and the womb of all possibility, both of which reside within you. To know of their existence is wisdom, but to consciously unite them is to become a true creator. This is the ultimate art, the sacred union, the alchemical marriage that allows a being to consciously bring forth a new reality. This is the principle that explains why your desires sometimes manifest with astonishing speed, and why, at other times, they seem to fall upon deaf ears. It explains why affirmations and visualizations work for some and fail for others. The secret lies not in the desire itself, but in the success or failure of this sacred inner union. Most attempts at conscious creation fail for one of two reasons, or both. They fail because of an impotent masculine principle, or because of an infertile feminine principle. An impotent masculine principle means the intention, the seed, is weak, vague, or contradictory. A person might say, "I want to be happy." This is not a potent seed. It is a formless wish. What does happy look like, feel like, sound like? The universe cannot gestate a vague request. Or a person might hold the intention, "I want to be wealthy," while simultaneously holding the masculine thought, "Rich people are greedy." These two thoughts cancel each other out. The seed is corrupted from the start. A weak, unfocused, or contradictory masculine impulse has no power to impregnate the great womb of reality. More common, however, is the failure of the feminine principle. A person may have a crystal clear, focused and powerful intention, a potent seed, but they try to plant this seed in infertile soil. The feminine subconscious mind is the soil, and for many, it is rocky, arid, and choked with the weeds of limiting beliefs. You attempt to plant the seed of "I am worthy of great love," but you plant it in soil that is filled with the deep-rooted weeds of "I am not good enough," "I always get hurt," and "no one can be trusted." The established vibration of the soil is hostile to the new seed. The weeds of doubt and fear consume all the energy and nourishment, and the beautiful new seed withers and dies before it can ever sprout. The sacred union is the art of consciously addressing both sides of this creative equation. It is the work of a master who is both a skilled seedsman and a patient gardener. It is a process that can be understood through the metaphor of the sculptor and the marble. The masculine principle is the sculptor. Before he ever touches a tool, the master sculptor has a crystal clear vision in his mind. He does not just vaguely hope to create a nice statue. He sees the finished form in its every detail. He knows the curve of the arm, the expression on the face, the flow of the drapery. This clear, unwavering vision is the masculine power of focused intention. It is the blueprint. The feminine principle is the block of marble. It is pure, formless potential. It is receptive, passive, and holds within it the possibility of all forms. But on its own, it can become nothing. It waits to be acted upon. This marble is the substance of the subconscious mind, the unformed energy of the quantum field. The sacred union is the act of sculpting itself. The sculptor, masculine, takes up his tool's focus, his will, his imagination, and begins to impress his vision upon the receptive marble, feminine. Every tap of the chisel is an act of focused thought. Every moment of sustained concentration is the loving pressure that chips away what is not the statue, revealing the form that was already seen in the mind. The sculptor and the marble become partners in a dance of creation. Without the clear vision of the sculptor, the marble remains a shapeless block. Without the receptive substance of the marble, the sculptor's vision remains a powerless dream. So how do you become this master sculptor of your own life? It is a conscious, three-step process. First is the masculine work, to forge the vision. You must step fully into your masculine power of direction and will. You must get absolutely clear about what you wish to create. Move beyond vague wishes. If you desire abundance, define it. What is the feeling of it? What does your life look like? Write it down. Describe it in vivid sensory detail. Create a short scene in your imagination that would imply the desire has been fulfilled. This is not idle daydreaming. This is the vital architectural work of creating a clear, potent, and viable seed. Sharpen your desire until it is a singular, unwavering point of focus. Second is the feminine work, to prepare the womb. You must now shift your energy. This is the work of cultivating a receptive, fertile, and trusting inner state. This is where all your practice with the other principles comes to bear. You use meditation to quiet the mind and create a state of inner peace. You use the art of polarization to slide your grip from doubt to faith. You use forgiveness and shadow work to pull up the weeds of unworthiness and fear that would choke your new seed. You must cultivate the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it feel like, in your body, in your heart, to be the person who has what you desire? This feeling is the fertile soil. It is the vibration of receptivity. You cannot plant a seed of joy in the soil of despair. You must prepare the emotional ground. You must become the vibrational match for your desire before it arrives. Third is the sacred union, the act of impregnation. When your vision is clear and sharp, masculine, and your inner state is calm, receptive, and trusting, feminine, you are ready. This is a sacred, meditative moment. You enter a quiet, relaxed state. You bring your crystal clear vision to mind. You see it, you feel it, you know it. Then, you gently release it. You drop this potent seed into the warm, fertile, and receptive soil of your feeling state. You fuse the clear image with the deep feeling of it being real now. You are not asking for it. You are not hoping for it. In this sacred moment, you are consciously and vibrationally being it. After this union comes the great test of faith, the period of gestation. Once the seed is planted in the fertile womb of the subconscious, the masculine's aggressive work is done. You must now trust the quiet, dark, mysterious process of the feminine. To constantly dig up the seed by worrying, doubting, and looking for signs is to kill the creation in its infancy. This is the mistake so many make. They plant the seed, and then, with their anxious masculine energy, they interfere with the feminine process. You must trust. You must let go and allow the great subconscious intelligence to work its magic, to gather the resources, to arrange the circumstances, and to build the form of your desire in the unseen world. During this time, your only work is to maintain the fertile soil, to continue to live in the feeling of faith and trust, the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. This process is the grand culmination of all 7 Hermetic laws working in perfect harmony. You use mentalism to create the thought. You use correspondence, knowing your inner union will be reflected in your outer world. You use vibration to align your personal frequency with your desire. You use polarity and rhythm to manage your state and master the pendulum of doubt. You use cause and effect, knowing you are planting a specific cause to create a specific effect. And finally, you use the principle of gender to perform the divine creative act itself. This is your ultimate power as a conscious being. You are the sculptor and the marble. You are the sun and the earth. You are the seed and the soil. You are the father and the mother of your own reality. Learn to balance these forces within you, to orchestrate their sacred union, and there is nothing you cannot bring forth into your world. We have traveled a great distance together on this inner journey. We have passed through the 7 great gates of wisdom, exploring each of the Hermetic principles one by one. We have journeyed through the realms of mind, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. The intellectual mind has a tendency to take such a journey and compartmentalize it, to place each principle in a separate box, to learn them as a list of distinct rules. To do so is to understand the words, but to miss the music entirely. The final stage of this intellectual understanding is to dissolve the walls between these boxes and to see the 7 principles not as separate threads, but as a single, magnificent, interwoven tapestry. They are not independent laws that occasionally interact. They are 7 different facets of a single, unified, living truth. To grasp one is to gain a firmer hold on all the others. Their true power is not in their individuality, but in their perfect, seamless synergy. To see this interconnected whole, let us use a final metaphor, that of a grand orchestra preparing to play the symphony of your reality. You, in your highest state of awareness, are the conductor. The principle of mentalism is the silent, unseen composer of the entire work. It is the truth that the entire symphony, in all its complexity, exists first as a thought, an idea, a divine meditation within the universal mind of the all. The music is not made of wood and brass and strings, it is made of consciousness. The principle of correspondence is the musical score itself. As you look at the pages, you see the master theme, the central motif, stated in the opening bars. This is the as above. Then, as you follow the score, you see that same theme repeated in countless variations played by different instruments, in different octaves, in major and minor keys. This is the so below. The pattern of the whole is reflected in every part. The score is the blueprint that guarantees a harmonious relationship between all sections of the orchestra. The principle of vibration is the very essence of the music. The symphony is not the ink on the page, it is the sound that fills the hall. It is pure vibration. Each instrument produces its own unique frequency, its own timbre. The deep, slow vibration of the double bass, the soaring, rapid vibration of the piccolo, the entire performance is a complex, ever-shifting wave of interacting frequencies, and the quality of the sound depends entirely on the nature of these vibrations. The principle of polarity is the dynamics of the music. It is the expressive soul of the performance. It is the contrast between the poles of loud, forte, and soft piano. Without this polarity, the music would be a flat, lifeless drone. The master conductor uses the entire spectrum of volume, from a barely audible whisper to a thunderous crash, to evoke emotion and create texture. He knows that loud and soft are not two different things, but simply varying degrees of the same thing: amplitude. The principle of rhythm is the tempo and the beat. It is the pulse of the symphony, the force that carries it forward through time. It is the swing between the fast, energetic passages, allegro, and the slow, contemplative sections, adagio. The conductor knows they cannot hold the symphony at a frantic pace forever, for it would lead to exhaustion. Nor can it remain in a slow dirge, for it would lead to stagnation. The master honors the rhythm of the composition, using the changes in tempo to build tension, create release, and give the symphony the feeling of being a living, breathing entity. The principle of cause and effect is the melody and the harmonic progression. Music is a perfect demonstration of this law. Each note is a cause that leads to the next note, the effect. A melodic line is a beautiful, intelligible chain of causation. The harmony, too, is governed by strict laws of cause and effect. Certain chords create a feeling of tension that naturally causes a desire for resolution in another chord. The entire structure of the symphony, from the first note to the last, is an intricate, lawful unfolding of cause and effect. And finally, the principle of gender is the creative interplay between the different sections of the orchestra. The true magic, the rich fullness of the sound, comes from the sacred union of the different instrumental voices. You have the brass section, the trumpets and trombones projecting with a brilliant, assertive, masculine energy. You have the string section, the violins and cellos responding with a sweeping, emotional, receptive, feminine energy. The conductor's art is in orchestrating the interplay between these sections. A call from the masculine horns is answered by the feminine strings. This dialogue, this union of different energetic qualities, is what gives the symphony its depth, its richness, and its power to move the soul. Creation happens in the interplay. Now, see yourself standing at the podium, holding the baton. You are the conductor. For too long, you have lived as if you were just a single musician in the orchestra, perhaps a second violinist, able to see only your own sheet music, your own small part. You felt tossed about by the changing rhythms, overwhelmed by the loud passages, and your only job was to react to the movements of those around you. But now your awareness has expanded. You have ascended to the podium. You see the entire score. You understand the role of every single instrument, every principle. You are no longer just reacting to the music. You are the one guiding its flow. You know when to call forth the masculine power of the brass and when to invite the feminine grace of the woodwinds. You know when to swell the dynamics and when to hold the orchestra in a moment of profound quiet. You are not fighting the laws of music. You are using your understanding of those laws to create a masterpiece. This is what it means to live as a conscious creator. Reflect on the symphony of your life as it is now. Is it a harmonious performance? Or is it a cacophony of dissonant sections, each playing their own tune without regard for the others? Is your logical mind at war with your emotional heart? Is your active, doing nature crushing your quiet, intuitive side? As the conductor, your great work is to bring all the parts of yourself, all these principles, into a state of beautiful, coherent harmony. You have now seen the blueprint. You have studied the score. You understand the magnificent, interwoven structure of the 7 laws. You have the intellectual knowledge of how the symphony of reality is constructed, but there is one final step. For the ultimate purpose of a symphony is not to be analyzed. It is not to be deconstructed. The ultimate purpose of a symphony is to be experienced. After all the study, after all the understanding of the intricate mechanics, the final act of the master is to put down the score, close their eyes, and simply listen. The final truth is not found in the notes, but in the feeling the music evokes. The final truth is not found in the principles, but in the silence from which they emerge. This is the final initiation. We have come to the end of the path of words. We have examined the 7 principles, the intricate laws of the cosmos, as if they were 7 luminous jewels. We have turned them over in the hands of our mind, admiring each facet, each reflection. We have seen how they interweave to form a magnificent tapestry, how they play together like a grand cosmic orchestra. We have built a cathedral of understanding in our intellect, a place of profound order and beauty. But now, you must be told the final truth of this journey. The knowledge of the principles is not the destination, it is only the doorway. The words are not the wisdom, they are only the fingers pointing at the moon. The map is not the territory. A person can spend a lifetime studying the most detailed maps of a great mountain. They can memorize every trail, every peak, every valley. They can become the world's foremost scholar on the mountain's geography, able to lecture for hours on its geology and climate. But if they have never taken a single step upon its soil, if they have never felt its wind on their face or breathed its thin, pure air, they do not truly know the mountain. They know only the idea of it. So it is with this sacred knowledge. For too many, the study of spiritual law becomes a trap of the intellect. They collect concepts as a connoisseur collects art. They debate the fine points of metaphysics. They become proud of their spiritual vocabulary. They have mistaken the menu for the meal. Their cathedral of understanding is magnificent, but it is empty. They have never entered the inner sanctum, where the God of their own being resides. The purpose of all these words, all these principles and metaphors, has been singular. It has been to lead you to this exact moment, to this final instruction from your guide. Now, you must be willing to put the map away. You must be willing to leave the cathedral of the intellect and step out into the silent, living world of direct experience. The knowledge was designed to give you the confidence and the framework to take this final step, but you must take it alone. This is the final initiation, and it does not take place in words. It takes place in silence. When we speak of silence, we do not mean the mere absence of audible noise. You can be in a soundproof room and be lost in a hurricane of mental chatter. The silence we speak of is the cessation of the compulsive, analytical mind. It is the stillness that lies beneath the turbulent surface of your thoughts. It is the deep, quiet, vast space between your thoughts. This silence is the ultimate reality. It is the womb of creation, the great feminine principle in its purest form. It is the unmanifest potential from which all manifested things arise. It is the blank canvas upon which the universe is painted. It is the still, silent air that allows the symphony of life to be heard. All of the principles we have discussed are simply descriptions of how things move and manifest out of this silence and within it. The silence itself is the source. It is the all in its state of pure, untroubled being. The universe does not shout its greatest secrets. It whispers them. And it whispers them only in the silence. As long as your own mind is filled with the noise of worry, of planning, of judging, of remembering, of analyzing, you cannot hear it. You have been learning the grammar of the universe, but to hear its poetry, you must become quiet enough to listen. This is not something you can achieve through force. You cannot try to be silent, for the effort of trying is itself a form of noise. You do not fight your thoughts or attempt to wrestle them into submission. That is the way of conflict, and the silence is a state of absolute peace. The path to silence is one of allowing, of letting go. Imagine your thoughts are clouds drifting across the vast sky of your awareness. For your whole life, you have been chasing these clouds, grabbing onto them, identifying with them, believing you are them. The practice of entering the silence is to simply lie back on the grass and let the clouds drift by. You notice them, you see them, But you do not engage. You withdraw your energy and attention from them. You let them go. Your focus shifts from the passing clouds to the vast, changeless, silent blue sky that lies behind them. You are the sky, not the clouds. Your breath is your anchor in this process. By placing your gentle, non-judgmental attention on the simple physical sensation of the breath entering and leaving your body, you give the chattering mind a simple task. It is a leash of silk for the wild monkey of the mind. As you focus on the rhythm of your breath, the spaces between your thoughts begin to lengthen. It is in these lengthening gaps that the silence reveals itself. At first, it may be fleeting, just a second or two of pure, thought-free presence. But in that second, you will feel a peace unlike any other. You will touch a part of yourself that is eternal, unchanging, and utterly safe. This is the pivot point of the pendulum. This is the eye of the storm. This is the still center of your being. This is the destination to which all the Hermetic principles have been leading you. They are the boat that has carried you across the turbulent ocean of philosophical thought. They have served their purpose magnificently, but you cannot enter the promised land while still sitting in the boat. Now is the time to step out onto the shore, to thank the vessel of knowledge for its service, and to walk into the heart of your own being. The final truth cannot be spoken. It cannot be written. It cannot be taught. It can only be experienced. It is an experience of merging, of becoming one with the great, silent, living mind, of which you are a precious and eternal part. So now, let these words be the final signpost. The journey from here is not one of more learning, but of more being. It is a journey into your own depths, a journey you take by becoming still. The knowledge is complete. The initiation is in the silence that follows. Let the words fade, let the concepts dissolve, and in the stillness that remains, may you finally meet your true self. And so, we arrive, not at an end, but at a beginning, not at a destination, but at a grand and silent threshold. The journey of words has faded, its purpose fulfilled. The concepts, the principles, the metaphors, they have been the raft that carried you across a great ocean of unknowing. But now you stand upon a new shore, the shore of your own direct experience, and the raft is no longer needed. What matters now is not the memory of the journey, but the feeling of this new ground beneath your feet. What matters is the resonance that remains, the quiet, humming certainty that has awakened in the deepest chambers of your heart. Let us linger here for a time in this space of gentle integration and allow the seeds of wisdom we have explored together to send their roots deep into the soil of your being, so they may become not just ideas that you know, but truths that you live. Let us first return to the genesis of it all, the master key that unlocked every door, the all is mind. Go forth from this place, now and forevermore, with the profound and unshakable knowing that you are living within a divine and infinite intelligence. The universe is not a cold, dead, mechanical thing, but a living, breathing, thinking cosmos, and you are not a stranger within it. You are a cherished thought in that great mind. The substance of your being is the very consciousness that imagines galaxies into being. Feel the immense dignity and safety in this. The ground beneath your feet is thought. The air you breathe is thought. The body you inhabit is a magnificent, sustained thought. Let this realization dissolve the last vestiges of existential fear, the illusion of separation that has been the source of all human suffering. You are not alone, and you can never be alone, for you are as inseparable from the all as a wave is from the ocean. You are eternally at home in the cosmos, a unique and necessary expression of its infinite creativity. Live then as a sacred thinker in a sacred mind. Treat your own thoughts with the reverence they deserve, for they are your direct participation in the act of universal creation. And because you are a thought within the great mind, carry with you the wisdom of correspondence. Live with your eyes open to the flawless, living mirror of your reality. Understand that the world is not happening to you, it is happening from you and for you. Every person you meet, every challenge you face, every joy that uplifts you is a perfect reflection, a divine messenger, telling you the story of your own inner state. Release the heavy burden of blame and victimhood forever. When you encounter frustration, do not curse the mirror. Instead, have the courage and grace to look within, to ask, what part of me is this reflecting? What belief is this showing me? When you experience kindness and synchronicity, recognize it as a confirmation of your own inner alignment. See your life not as a series of random events, but as a beautiful, intricate, symbolic languager, constant, loving dialogue between your soul and the universe. Learn to read this language, to honor its feedback, and you will walk through the world not as a blind man stumbling in the dark, but as a wise interpreter, guided at every step by the unerring wisdom of the reflection. You are the root, and the world is your fruit. Tend to your inner garden with love, and the world must, by law, blossom in return. Breathe now, and feel the truth of vibration in every cell of your being. You are not merely a physical body. You are a symphony of energy, a broadcasting tower of consciousness. Your habitual feelings, your dominant thoughts, these are not just private, internal states. They are the signal you are constantly sending out to the universe, and the universe, in its perfect resonance, can only send back experiences that match your broadcast. You do not attract what you want with your fleeting wishes. You attract what you are with your dominant vibration. Let this knowledge empower you to become the deliberate guardian of your own frequency. Choose your thoughts, your words, your companions, and your consumption with care, always asking, does this raise my vibration, or does it lower it? Understand that joy, love, and peace are not just pleasant emotions. They are high frequencies that tune you to the highest realities. Fear, anger, and despair are not just negative feelings. They are low frequencies that lock you into limiting experiences. Do not fight the lower states, but with the gentle persistence of a musician tuning a sacred instrument, consistently choose the higher note. Practice gratitude as a science. Wield forgiveness as a tool of liberation. Seek silence as a sanctuary of recalibration. Know that by mastering your own vibration, you are mastering the very essence of your creative power. You are the song, and the universe is the great hall that echoes your music back to you. Choose to play a beautiful song, and as you navigate this vibrational reality, hold in your heart the profound wisdom of polarity. Release forever the tyranny of either-or, of good versus bad, of light versus dark. See the world now as a series of beautiful, unified spectrums. Courage and fear are not enemies. They are two ends of the same staff of empowerment. Love and hate are not separate forces. They are two poles of the same energy of intense connection. Embrace the wholeness of your being. Turn and face your shadow, not as a monster to be vanquished, but as a keeper of your own rejected power and hidden gold. Understand that your anger holds your passion, your fear holds your intuition, your sadness holds your capacity for compassion. To be whole is not to be perfect, it is to be complete. This understanding frees you from the crippling weight of self-judgment. It allows you to look upon yourself and upon others with a new and profound compassion, seeing not good or bad people, but conscious beings operating at different points on infinite spectrums. This wisdom grants you the ultimate freedom, the power to consciously choose your position. You are the master of the staff, and at any moment, you can choose to slide your grip from the heavy pole of despair to the light-filled pole of hope. This is not about denial. It is the art of conscious focus, the divine technology of a free will operating in a dualistic universe. With this freedom, you can now learn to dance with the great cosmic law of rhythm. Go forth with the peaceful acceptance that all things have their tides. Your energy, your moods, your fortunes, your very life will ebb and flow. Do not curse the winter or the low tide, for they are as necessary as the summer and the high tide. The time of rest is what makes the time of action possible. The valley is what gives the mountain its meaning. Let go of the frantic, modern need for perpetual growth and constant happiness. It is a fight against the universe itself, and it is a fight you can never win. Instead, become the wise surfer. When the waves of life are high and joyful, ride them with gratitude and non-attachment. When the waves are challenging and pull you down, do not resist and drown in despair. Learn to find your balance, to stay conscious within the wave, and use its power to build your spiritual strength. And in all things, seek the pivot point, the still center of the pendulum's swing. Cultivate the inner sanctuary of the silent witness, the part of you that is untouched by the tides, the calm and steady sky that is aware of the passing weather, but is not the weather itself. In this unshakable peace, you will find true mastery, not in controlling the tides of the world, but in mastering the vessel of your own consciousness as it sails upon them. And as you sail, you do so with the absolute certainty of cause and effect. You now know that the universe is a place of perfect justice and order. There are no accidents. There is no luck. Every condition in your life today is the lawful effect of a past cause, and every choice you make in this present moment is a potent cause that is shaping your future. Let this knowledge liberate you from the shackles of regret and the paralysis of worry. You cannot change the past, but the power of all creation is vested for you in this eternal moment of now. Take up your divine authority as a conscious cause. Move from being the pawn, the effect of your conditioning, to being the player, the eagle, the conscious chooser of your destiny. Let every thought be a deliberate stone cast into the pond of reality. Let every word be a seed planted for a future harvest. Know that every act of love, every moment of forgiveness, every choice for a higher thought is a cause that has already set in motion a beautiful and harmonious effect that will return to you in its own perfect time. This is the essence of mastering your karma. It is not about escaping consequence, but about consciously creating consequences worthy of your divine nature. Finally, live in the creative grace of gender. Honor the sacred marriage within your own being. Balance the masculine energy of doing, directing, and focused will with the feminine energy of being, receiving, and intuitive wisdom. Know that to create anything of value in your life, you must be both the potent seed and the fertile soil. You must forge a clear vision with your masculine mind, and then plant it in the trusting, peaceful womb of your feminine heart. Nurture your dreams, not with frantic effort, but with the quiet faith of a patient gardener. Trust the silent period of gestation. Know when to act, and know when to allow. In this inner harmony of the sun and the moon, of the spear and the chalice, you will find not just peace, but the very engine of your power to manifest. You will become a whole and integrated creator, a conduit through which the universe can express its endless novelty. And so, we end where we began, in the quiet magnificence of this present moment. The principles are no longer lessons to be learned, but truths to be lived. They are the facets of the one great diamond, which is the truth of your own being. Take this truth and walk with it. Let it inform your every breath, your every step. Let it soften your gaze and open your heart. The symphony has played, and now, in the stillness that follows, the real music begins. It is the music of your own awakened life. Hold this peace, hold this power, hold this knowing. This is who you are. The journey of becoming is over. The joy of being is now. Go in the peace and the power of the all, for you are, and have always been, a divine and perfect part of it.